Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. It's 2 o'clock here on this particular day. What is it? The 18th of July. Time's going fast, isn't it? I'm going to apologize before the meeting. I had a little skin cancer surgery somewhere on my face, and thought about putting a Band-Aid on, but they're equally distracting. Someone asked me if my wife had done that, and I said no. I mean, that was skin cancer. Anything my wife has done to me is, you can't see. It's all hidden, so I keep that covered up. Okay, would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you happen to have a cell phone with you today, like I do, please turn it to off or vibrate, because if you get a call during the meeting, it'll interfere with our PA system here. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Leslie.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon.
Here.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all 9 members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'd like to add one under committee reports and recommendations. H, we'll say H sub 2 here, Windstream contract. Let's put that under there, please. Hearing nothing else, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, we're going to ask our clerk here, Sheila Fair, to please read the minutes from our meeting on June 19th.
June 19th, 2017. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a special meeting at 10 a.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Kevin Eldridge, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Magistrate Leslie was absent. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the agenda. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the meeting minutes of June 20th. Motion carried 7-0-1. Magistrate Eldridge abstained. Public comment. Becky Zocklin, Recycling Coordinator, presented information relating to the county's solid waste and recycling 5-year plan and announced a possible public hearing August 8th. Lee Schmidt of Crossroads Pregnancy Center provided information regarding its grand opening in Crestwood July 8th from 12 to 2. Adam Bear, 1100 Cherrywood Court, LaGrange, asked fiscal court members to drive through the area of 1824 Pine Ridge Road in LaGrange before the second reading public hearing of the proposed zoning change. Tourism District Budget Presentation. Oldham County Tourism Director Kim Buckler presented information relating to its budget for 2017-18 and responded to questions from the court. Ambulance Taxing District. Ambulance Taxing District Board member Steve Turover presented information relating to its 2017 ad valorem tax rate and responded to questions from the court. Oldham County Environmental Authority Budget. Oldham County Environmental Authority Treasurer Art Henson presented information relating to its budget for fiscal year 2017-18 and responded to questions from the court. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to accept OSEA's budget for fiscal year 17-18 to include a 2.5 sewer rate increase with a $3.90 increase in CAPEX as presented. Motion carried unanimously. County Administration, Payables. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to approve the payables. Motion carried 7-1. Magistrate Greenwell voted no. Budget line item transfers. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the budget line item transfers. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the fund transfers. Motion carried unanimously. Community Business. First reading, zoning map amendment, Pine Ridge Development, 1824 Pine Ridge Road. Senior Planner Amy Alvey presented for the first reading proposed ordinance number KOC 17-920-412 relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map, rezoning a 5.02 acre tract located at 1824 Pine Ridge Road, LaGrange, from the existing R2 residential zoning classification to C3 commercial general business district zoning classification. The second reading public hearing will be July 18th. Contract agreements and resolutions. Grant of easements, traffic signal project at Highway 146 and 53. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the judge executive to sign the grant of easement agreement on behalf of Oldham County Fiscal Court for parcel number 46-L.5-03-5 relating to the traffic signal project at Highway 146 and 53, and to allow Judge Vogel to sign the grant of easement agreement on behalf of Oldham County Public Facilities Corporation for parcel number 46-L.4-06-1, contingent on the approval of the Board of Directors as submitted. Motion carried 7-1. Magistrate Greenwell voted no. KYTC Supplemental Agreement 1 for Old Floydsburg Road project. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the judge executive to sign Supplemental Agreement 1 with KYTC relating to the Old Floydsburg Road Safety Improvement Project. Motion carried unanimously. Blue Moon Canoe and Kayak Agreement for Westport Park. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to authorize the judge executive to sign the agreement with Scooter Thompson, Blue Moon Canoe and Kayak relating to canoe and kayak rental at Westport Park. Motion carried unanimously. Human Resource Committee recommendations, job descriptions, engineer and training, senior construction site inspector, and electrical inspector. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the following 3 job descriptions as submitted: engineering and training, senior construction site inspector, and electrical inspector. Motion carried unanimously. Pay scale. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the revision to the employee pay scale. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions. Judge Executive's Office. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to accept the retirement resignation of John Black effective June 30th, 2017. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to appoint Kevin Nuss, Deputy Judge Executive, at $71,391 a year effective July 1st. Motion carried unanimously. Second public comment, none. Final announcements. Fiscal Court members wish the community a happy and safe 4th of July. Magistrate Logsdon asked residents for their continued patience with the road projects and traffic delays in Crestwood. Magistrate Eldridge asked drivers to be aware of county and state crews mowing right-of-ways and to allow a safe distance. Magistrate Hounds asked drivers to be patient on the roadways over the holiday weekend. Magistrate Tice announced the county's 4th of July celebration and fireworks at Windlemore Park Tuesday, July 4th. Magistrate Likens asked if Magistrate Greenwell would expound on his reasoning for voting against the approval of payables. He also requested that a meeting be held to discuss the status of a new library in the Goshen area. Judge Vogel provided an update on the funding for the KYTC project to widen Interstate 71, including the ranking system of such projects. Anyone wanting to submit their concerns or support for this project should make comments on the KYTC website to the attention of Secretary Thomas. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting adjourned at 11:41 a.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from June 29th. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Abstain.
One abstention. Time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when, if you'd like to address the fiscal court, you're able to do so about an issue of community interest. If you've come to talk about the zoning hearing later, we'd ask you to please wait until the time of the hearing. You'll have an opportunity then to make your remarks. So is there anybody who'd like to address fiscal court now?
Hi, Judge, Magistrates. My name is Jen Shane, and I'm the Curry's Fork Watershed Coordinator for the Fiscal Court. I'm in the Engineers Department. And I just wanted to make a quick announcement for the community to come to a stream cleanup tomorrow morning before the heat kicks in. So we're going to be at 1300 Ballard Court. That's in LaGrange. And first, we're going to just kind of walk the creek and get the trash out. We've got a lot of stuff in there that doesn't belong. And so we're doing our part to get it out. It's kid-friendly. The water is very low, so you're not even going to get that wet. Crocs or old tennis shoes or anything like that, it'll be just fine. And we've got everything we need other than your shoes. So if you can just show up with that, that'd be fantastic. And afterwards, we're gonna, for anyone that's interested, we're gonna do kind of a creek bug fun time with nets in the water with someone from Division of Water. Anyone that's registered will have refreshments for you. So we ask people to either email us, and the address is right up here, asublett@bluegrassconservancy.org, or give us a call at 502-299-3978 and let us know that you're coming. And if not, it's fine to just show up. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Jen. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court?
Good afternoon, Judge and magistrates. Let's see if I can get this on the right place. That's a little bit better. There we go. My name is Ray Ann Rowley. I'm representing the Oldham County Fairgrounds at 2401 West Highway 146 in LaGrange. And hopefully everybody knows that the Oldham County Fair is rapidly approaching. The Oldham County Fair starts on Tuesday, August 1st. The gates open at 4 p.m., rides start at 5 p.m. Our admission is $10 per person. We do charge $3 for parking, and children 3 and under are free. And this year, we are starting out the fair with something that we've never done at the fair before. We are having a rodeo on Tuesday night. This is really a big deal for us, and we hope to see lots of people in the stands. King Brothers are coming down. They're a very well-respected rodeo company, and they're going to put on the entertainment for us. Usually for an event such as a rodeo as a standalone, we charge $10 plus your parking fee. And let me tell you, this is going to be the bargain of the century. For $10, you not only get to come to the fair, ride all the rides, unlimited rides all evening. We have our Miss Oldham County pageant that night, All-American Petting Zoo, our own petting barn featuring our fair flock, which is our own flock of chickens that we have. And you can check out 4-H entries, home and family arts entries, ag entries, floral and photography, and we have entertainment and more. I mean, talk about a bargain. That is a real bargain. Our arena events and our pageants change nightly, and you can see, hopefully from this, what we have each night, but I'll just go over it quickly. Wednesday, we have the Miss Teen Oldham County pageant and dirt drags in the arena. Thursday, we have the Pretty Little Miss pageant and the Miss Preteen pageant, and we have a circle track race in our arena. Friday is our little Mr. and Miss OC contest pageant. A couple of years ago, we did have our little Mr. and Miss go to the state pageant, so that was quite good. And Friday night, we have the ever-popular Demo Derby in our arena. Saturday morning, we have our baby and cutie pie pageants, and then at 12:30, we have our special needs pageant. I believe this is the 7th year for our special needs pageant. If you ever get a chance to come see, it is very, very worthwhile. These contestants work all year perfecting their skills just to come to this pageant. And then afterwards, the ride company Fiscal starts rides and has the contestants and their parents and family ride rides for free. Our gates do open again Saturday afternoon at 3 with a $10 charge. And we have a truck and tractor pull scheduled in our arena for Saturday night. And the rides, oh boy, let me tell you about the rides. Since we've reclaimed some area on our property that we're able to use for parking, pits for our motorsports events, we have an area for the ride company to bring more rides than ever, and this is including its largest ride called the Nemesis 360. If you would like to go to our website, which is down here on the bottom, oldhamcountyfairgrounds.com, click on OC Fair, you can watch a short video of Nemesis 360. Not something that I'm going to ride, But for thrill seekers, this is the ride to end all rides. I have passed out to you before the program started our flyer of our daily events. That also has on it our fair phone number and our website. If you need any more information, you can check those out. And I invite each of you to come down to our fairgrounds. A lot has happened to the fairgrounds since our last fair. We needed a full set of tools in our toolbox to accomplish what we did. Our toolbox included contractors, advisors, jail trustees, friends, and donors. Our board of dedicated volunteers, as we are an all-volunteer entity, worked tirelessly to get the construction completed. And fiscal court is very important to us too. You are part of our toolbox. Your help doesn't go unnoticed. There are so many things that you have helped us with, from permits to hauling rock, allowing us to use the jail trustees, the use of the county billboards, the use of Channel 25. So thank you so much for doing all that and being advisors. And we invite each one of you to support the fairgrounds by bringing your families to the Oldham County Fair to see what we have accomplished. Over the 5 days of the fair, we bring more visitors to Oldham County than any other event, and that helps all of us. Last year, we started radio advertising, and it has cost us a bit of money, but it has really, really brought people in. We have had people from southern Indiana, Ohio, further south in Bullitt County and that area. We have also had people from Michigan and other states, Tennessee, come into our gates. So it's not just people from Oldham County. It's not just people from Henry and Trimble and Shelby and those places coming in. We are drawing people from the whole area. And that helps all of us. And we also want to know what you think of the fairgrounds. We're open to new ideas. If there's something that you want to see at the fair, if there is an event you think Oldham County would benefit from having it at our grounds, or if you know anyone to help us lay out the parking lot better, or if you know of someone who wants composted chicken manure, please let us know. We want to hear your comments so that we can make the fair truly something for all the people of Oldham County. Our bylaws list as advisors judge executive, magistrates, Oldham County cooperative extension agents, and persons representing organizations that have a common interest with the Oldham County Fair Association. We appreciate your help, and we want your input. Now, what can you do for us? Please spread the word to your family and friends and your constituents that the Oldham County Fair starts August 1st and runs through August 5th. That is the greatest entertainment bargain in the state of Kentucky. $10 for unlimited rides, something in our arena every night, pageants, and so much more. Our mission statement for the Oldham County Fair is to provide a means to share and coordinate the Oldham County Fairgrounds, to promote harmony and goodwill within the community, to provide a means and location where friends may go to gather and enjoy the atmosphere of Oldham County, and to provide and maintain facilities that may be used to showcase the local talents of young and old alike. So come to the fair, meet your neighbors, meet your associates, see longtime friends, and have fun. I do have another question to ask you. I would like to know where in the fiscal court building I can leave flyers for the public to pick up. And we also have fair posters, if I can put any of those up and around. I would appreciate that.
You can leave the flyer on the table underneath the television on the first floor, and be happy to have you put the flyer on each of our doors.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your time, and I hope to see you down there at the fair.
Hey, thank you,
Any
Leanne.
questions?
All right. You all have done a good job in improving the grounds tremendously. We hope you have a really successful
If you haven't seen it lately, you need to come down and see it now.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court?
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Stolworthy. I actually have a technical question. Can the magistrates see what I place on the projector or no? Okay. All right. I had prepared some handouts, but I think that's unnecessary at this point. I am here representing myself, actually, and just in general taxpayers of Oldham County. And I wanted to raise some concerns that I've had regarding the provision of ambulance services in Oldham County. And this is not meant to in any way disparage the great work that the men and women of the ambulance service do. My concerns actually center on a few specific issues, and my hope is that at the end of my comment, or at the end of today's meeting, that this court will schedule some time on the agenda for the next hearing to further delve into this issue and hopefully request that the taxing district bring some information with it to enable a more thorough public discussion. So with that being said, the 5 basic issues that I wanted to tee up for review are, one, that right now the Oldham County EMS is a monopoly in the sense that it's the only ambulance provider in the region. And also, my understanding is that it has no in-network agreements with any private insurance company that insures any Oldham County citizens, and that the only reimbursement agreements it has are with Medicare and Medicaid, which obviously it is required by law to enter into such agreements. My concern relates specifically to the overcharging for certain services. The specific example, just to keep things simple, that I've highlighted is the CPT code A0427, which represents a base rate for an ambulance ride. You'll notice that under the fee schedule for Oldham County, the charge is $893. Under Medicare's allowed rate for this locality, for that same service, it's $393.40, which is 44% of what Oldham submits when they submit it to an insurance carrier. I do know Humana's maximum allowed fee because I have Humana insurance, and I had the occasion to actually make use of their services at one point, and their conclusion is that the reasonable maximum charge is $646 for that same service. I don't have data on Aetna or Baptist Health or Anthem or any of the other insurers, but I suspect that the ambulance taxing district would have that data, since they would be routinely billing those carriers and receiving EOBs from them. I have some concerns about what I feel were unfair billing practices, either on the EMS side or through its vendor, 911 Billing and Consulting, Inc. And then I wanted to tee up for discussion the propriety of Oldham EMS's continued status as a taxpayer-funded entity. Some people may or may not know this, but most ambulance service providers in this nation are not taxpayer-funded. They are wholly private entities. Oldham EMS is one of the last remaining taxpayer-funded ambulance services in the country, which I do believe is actually very important, because as a public entity, unlike a private entity, Oldham EMS doesn't owe a duty to its shareholders, its investors, issuers of debt, or CEOs, but it actually owes its duty to Oldham County taxpayers. And as taxpayers, we are entitled to make sure that it's exercising those duties in the way that benefits Oldham County residents most effectively. One power that the board of directors for the ambulance service has is obviously to set the fee schedule. I don't know when that was done or when the last time it was revised, but the Kentucky statutes state that it should be established in an equitable manner in such amounts that it can be reasonably expected to yield revenues not in excess of the cost of operations. Right now, Oldham County receives an ad valorem tax of 5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation on top of the fees that it charges. Again, the only specific example I brought was the base ambulance ride, but there will obviously be others. Having received a bill and having tried to have some conversations with the deputy director and the director of EMS, and also with 911 billing, who is the billing vendor, I wanted to bring to attention some billing practices that I would propose are unfair or unreasonable. There appears to be a policy of ignoring the insurer's calculation of a reasonable and customary charge on the EOB that is sent to Oldham EMS as the provider, not the EOB that a patient receives. There's actually two EOBs that get generated when a claim is processed. One goes to you to tell you how much your patient responsibility is. One goes to the provider, and it tells them, especially if they're out of network, here's what our maximum allowed charge was for reasonable and customary services. And specifically in this case, it included a request to not balance bill the patient because, in Humana's humble opinion, the charge greatly exceeded the reasonable and customary charge for that service. Nevertheless, Oldham County EMS's policy is to ignore those requests and to, in fact, send a bill requesting payment of the balance. When I did call to inquire about this, I was offered a 20% discount off of the remaining balance, conditioned on prompt payment of that balance. But then when I requested the opportunity to further negotiate whether, in fact, Oldham EMS had received reasonable compensation, considering it had received $666, which is well above the Medicare allowed amount, for example, I was told that Oldham EMS cannot negotiate the bill because that will get it into trouble due to the Medicare Secondary Payer Acts, which require it to make sure that it's not offering a better deal than any deal it offers to Medicare. I believe that's a misleading statement because unless I'm asking for a better deal than what Medicare gets, and clearly if they're in a position to offer a 20% discount if I pay promptly, they are in a position to negotiate how much to accept as payment in full for the balance. They also had a policy, rather than discussing the reasonableness of the charge, they directed me to apply for charitable assistance. And they sent me an application for charitable assistance. I reviewed it. The people that qualify for charitable assistance as outlined under that application do not include me. I am well enough to do that. I'm not going to ask for charity or public funds to solve this problem. Then I was asked to file an appeal with my own insurer to have them pay the maximum charge because of Oldham EMS's position as the only service provider in the area, which I have done in order to not be accused of not pursuing all of my remedies. But that appeal is pending, and that still doesn't address the issue of whether the charge is reasonable in the first place. And in general, there's just not a procedure in place for a customer to suggest to Oldham EMS that they've already received fair value.
Mr. Stolworthy, I'm going to, we have a 4-minute limit on I've let you run a couple of minutes past here, in fairness to you, because I let Ms. Rayleigh go past with her 4 minutes with the fair discussion. But I think it sounds as though your motivation here is based on a personal experience that you were unhappy about. Have you taken your discussion to the ambulance taxing board?
My request was to have the ambulance taxing board attend next month's
But I think
hearing.
the appropriate thing would be to, for you to take your concerns to the ambulance taxing board. We do appoint members of the board, but we don't actually review their day-to-day operations. You're certainly entitled to bring this to our attention, but have you lived in Oldham County for some time? Or
About 2 years.
About 2 years. Well, you're about 5 years behind the times then. We went through a major adjustment with our ambulance service in 2011, 2012. It was a publicly funded entity, as you suggest. There aren't too many left. I couldn't address that one way or another. I know Jefferson County's ambulance service is entirely a public funded entity. Our service here is based on two thought processes, okay? One is that the community, there's a tax, and the tax is actually a little bit less than what you said it was. It's like 4.7%, I believe. You said 5, but that's close. The public here pays a tax through our property tax to have this service available. The ambulance taxing district owns all of the locations, all of the rolling stock equipment that is in the ambulances, and they're very expensive to maintain. In 2012, we entered into an agreement, the ambulance taxing district did, at my recommendation and support of the fiscal court, to reach a public-private partnership, if you will, because we felt the hospital had more billing expertise and would be able to manage our employees more effectively than what we had been able to do previously. The prior history of the public-owned entity was that the taxing district had lost a tremendous amount of money. And between 2011 and 2012, the fiscal court had to loan the taxing district more than $1 million to maintain its payroll. It was in a shape that a change had to be made. Since that time, since 2012, we entered into an agreement with the hospital, and we share gains and we split losses. We've had no losses. It's operated on a positive cash flow since the hospital took it over. We've had no tax increase for the citizens of the community. That was very important because we were headed straight for a tax increase without that change. So the system has operated well. You may have an individual circumstance that I'm not able to address here, honestly, what happened to you, why you felt the charge was too high. All of our ambulances, when the call comes in, they're dispatched, and a determination is made when the EMT gets there if it's going to be what's called an ALS or a BLS run. Those are designations that have to do with the seriousness of the circumstance they find when they get there. ALS services are more expensive than BLS services. You referenced Medicare several times. We all know that many doctors refuse to take Medicare patients because Medicare reimbursement is break even to less than the cost of doing business with patients on an office visit basis. The same would apply, I'm assuming, in the ambulance taxing district. All of us who may need a ride in an ambulance may think that is an expensive charge, but it costs money to have people on duty 24 hours a day. All of the ambulances are well over $100,000. There's a tremendous amount of equipment on them. And so it's an expensive proposition to operate. So the public here pays for the locations, the rolling stock, and the equipment. The hospital provides the billing and the personnel services, and we work together. We give them a couple $1 million head start at the beginning of the year based on the tax revenue, and then from that point on, the service is supposed to pay for itself. We have this service available for everybody who needs it, but if you access the service, then you're expected to participate in some of the charge. Most of the service is reimbursed by Medicare and Medicaid. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I would say perhaps 10 to 20% actually falls to private pay patients and their health insurance. So whether or not Humana will reimburse you or cover the entire expense, I believe that's a situation that comes up from time to time. If you appeal, I'm under the impression that Humana will step up and pay. The insurance companies pay, you admitted here, they pay more than Medicare does. So that tells you right there that the actual retail value of the service is more than what the government is willing to pay. So I've given a long explanation because we have many people here who may not be familiar with the circumstance. You presented some nicely detailed pieces of information, but I'm going to ask you to go to the ambulance taxing board and try to discuss your issue with them and see what they have to say. Rather than come here, we don't really conduct let's say, investigations of other public agencies in the community, certainly not at a public meeting. We might, outside the meeting, look into, and we did that with the ambulance board, and my chief financial officer here, who was here, Stan Clark, and another person did a tremendous job in taking apart all aspects of the ambulance service that we had and trying to put them back in a way that would make sense for our community and avoid a tax increase for the people here. So that's what we've done. You said you've been here a couple of years, and we certainly welcome you to be here and to question what you found. If you're paying taxes, you're entitled to question our services. But I'd ask you to talk with them first and try to get perhaps their explanation to some of your questions before you raise it elsewhere.
May I ask a question on the procedure?
Sure.
I have been unable to find any information regarding who constitutes the board of directors for the ambulance taxing district, when they have their regularly scheduled meetings, whether they have regularly scheduled meetings. I did search a lot of resources, and that's how I found the existence of this body, but I did not find any information regarding the specifics on the ambulance taxing district.
The ambulance board meets every Monday at 5:30 here at the Fiscal Court building.
Okay.
Isn't that correct, Stan? Or are you meeting, I guess you're meeting at the new ambulance? Okay, that is still fun, Monday at 5:30? Second Monday of the month at 5:30 at the ambulance building, which is our new headquarters right next to Baptist Healthcare on Moody Lane. So
And
it's
if I
a
were
public
to-
meeting, you're welcome to attend.
And the name of the actual board of directors members, where would I find that information?
Is it on your website, do you think? Should be on the ambulance taxing district website. I have it right here, but don't have a copy machine. Be happy to have you stop by the office after the meeting. Be glad to give you the names of everyone.
I'll be happy to follow up with them. Thank you for the suggestion.
All right.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you for coming. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court here? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to go on to close the public comment, go on to the first presentation we have today, and that is from the Ballardsville Fire Protection District. This is a budget presentation. Fiscal court will not make any decisions on the budget. It's required under state statute to make an annual presentation to us and the public through us, and we welcome today Chief Fonte.
How you doing, Judge, magistrates? Let me set this under the projector. We're here to establish, the Ballardsville Fire District established a tax rate for real and personal property tax at 10 cents for each $100 valuation, and a tax rate on motor vehicles and watercraft at 10 cents for each $100 of valuation. The same tax rates we've had for the last several years. Our budget, I'll just kind of go over that briefly. Our income, which we provide protection in Shelby County also. Our income for Oldham County is roughly $660 a year, and our total income is $693. So the difference of that is from Shelby County. Personnel is $305,000. Operations is $171,000. This year, our capital outlay for equipment, we put $50,000 in the budget. As everyone knows, the county is going to an 800 megahertz system. In the last couple of years, we've had, I won't say an average budget. We built a station a couple of years ago, and then last year we were going to try to finish some dorms. Opening the second station, it put us down a reserve piece, so we ended up buying a used fire engine. It's actually called a Squirt from Oklahoma Fire Protection District for $27,600 versus a new one would be around $700,000. So we outfitted that truck with all new equipment for about $120,000. Where it would be almost close to $1 million to outfit that piece if it was new. And we feel that will get us along until our new station's paid for, is the plan for that. So anyways, this year, the radio purchase, we're gonna go on and pay fiscal, I guess the loan was actually through fiscal court, paid for all that. We're gonna try to pay that all off this year, which is gonna be about $190,000 for new radios and all that. So with that in the budget, and then our debt service for our Station 2 payment is $140,540. So that puts our total budget at $860,538 for this fiscal year. Like I said, we're trying to get all of our debt paid off. That way we can get in a regular cycle where we're not actually spending over what our income is. Just a couple things as far as Ballotsville Fire District or Fire Department. Annually, we have around 400 fire and EMS runs, give or take a few. We're up to 217 runs. Well, 218, we had one just a while ago. This year, 104 of them were what we call first responder runs, which is where we run with EMS. So that is roughly 47% of our fire calls are for that, which we're glad to do. We run EMS 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do a full-time paid sheet, which it's on this paper. I'm full-time, the chief is, and then we have 4 part-time personnel that work Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. On Saturdays, we utilize volunteers if they were willing to work. That way we get them more involved, as involved as we can, and they make a flat $40 a day, plus they get their $12 reimbursement for runs. We have 45 volunteers, members on the department. First responder-wise, we have 20 EMTs and 3 paramedics. A lot of those guys actually work for Oldham County EMS also. Training hours. I did a fiscal year, this past fiscal year. Our volunteers, which is majority of these training hours, were 3,967 and a half hours. So that's hours that our guys came and donated, for $10 reimbursement fee. Our ISO rating is a class 4. We just went from a class 6 to a class 4 in 2015. We were previously a class 6. Built a new station, made our whole entire district covered by a class 4. That way we don't have any area of our district that's over 5 miles from a station. And that includes the Shelby County part, because there's a Shelby County station that's close by there also. When we built the new station, obviously, as I just spoke of, we purchased a new to us, it's a 94 model fire engine. So we have reserve pieces, and all those are parts and pieces that make our ISO rating better. We're very close to a class 3. We have dry hydrants in our area, which is where we draft out of a pond or I'll say a stagnant water source. And once we get those certified, which they were at one time, but paperwork was old and I guess it needs to be updated. But we get those certified by an engineer, and hopefully we'll drop it to a 3 next time we get evaluated. Our website, if anyone's interested in anything with the fire department, is www.ballotsvillefire.com. And then last thing, as far as our board meetings are the last Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. And we don't keep our minutes on our website. It's an open meeting. If anyone wants to come, they're welcome to. So we just haven't posted it on there.
Does anyone have any questions for the chief? Manager Greenwell.
Thank you. Steve, when is the next ISO rating?
Well, they were supposed to come every 3 to 5 years. It took them, was about 12 years from our last to this one. So they're very busy. Obviously, there are thousands and thousands of fire departments, in Kentucky, So they're hiring more people and getting on a better rotation. According to last, he said 35 years. So another 2 year and a half, 2 years somewhere in there.
Are you, what is your relationship with, say, Kentucky Acres? Do you access Kentucky Acres
We do.
through Osage Road, or how
Yes,
do you?
sir. We have a Mr. Chevetto, which passed on, and his son runs the property. We have an access road that has, per his instructions and which he was thankfully, he allowed us access. We have an emergency gate that has we have a Knox box key that allows us access to cut through, and it saves roughly anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes on our response time. And we have pretty much all of Section 4 is Ballardsville's, and it's shared, and then from South Oldham picks on the other end of that. Yeah, it cuts a lot of time. I know we tried to get that opened up so we could have another entranceway, but at the time, Mr. Chevetto wasn't interested in that. So.
Oops.
That means I'm
Uh,
done. My time is up.
Get the lights back on here. Okay. Chief, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Our next presentation today is from the Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District. I believe Chairman Joe Burkhardt is here along with Chief Bob Hamilton.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Tax rate. Tax rate continues at 10 cents for each $100 of evaluation. That hasn't changed in years, so that continues at 10 cents per 100. Our revenue for the coming fiscal year is $508,000, which is about a 6.8% increase over the previous year. Principally because of PVA assessments and organic growth and the normal information we receive from intergovernmental revenues. Expenses obviously come in at 508 as well. Personnel at 67,004, cost of operations 289.3, admin at 89. Our capital that we're expecting for the coming year, we need to upgrade our IT server, hose. We plan on putting in a security system at our station number 2 and another utility truck for about $61,005, which is part of the 508 in expenses. Our contributions to our reserve this past year is $93,000, bringing our reserve number up to $607,000. And we have grown to that amount, understanding that we are going to have, as everyone else does, the expense of the new radio system, which we are projecting about $175,000. We also are looking to replace another engine, and those are always relatively expensive, but it's in our 10-year plan. We generally end up doing this every 8 to 9 years, and it's coming on schedule. We don't have anything of significant note in our district other than our continuing concern about Ash Avenue, which I will bring up until it's resolved. That state highway is interrupted several times throughout the year because of heavy rains. We haven't had any injuries to date, but we had several water rescues over the past 12 months, and I have my fingers crossed and just hope that we don't have something more severe. But I understand that we are somewhat handicapped in getting the appropriate financing, but that's still a concern with us that we have down there.
Yeah, and Judge, we do go swimming 4 or 5 times a year to help people out of their cars. We did get some questions that one of the magistrates wanted us gave us in advance so we could kind of give you all some education. And like Chief Fonte, got some answers. How many runs on average do we make a year? And we're right around 300, I think. Last year we made 256, and it kind of bounces between 250 and 300. How many of those are EMS runs? It's about 44%. I think right now we're hovering at about 49% for the year, so we're up a little bit. And again, we do not provide transport service. We just are first responders. We get there, try to stabilize the patient, and assist the EMS in any way we can. We have got 18 EMTs and EMRs, or first responders. We run a 3-person squad over a 6-week rotation. And so when the tones go out, you're not getting 18 people show up at your house. You're getting maybe 2, plus the EMS crew. We don't want to invade your residence. We just try to help out. We currently we have about 41 volunteer firefighters. We just had another person walk in the door last night after the board meeting. And no career staffing. The personnel expense that the chairman alluded to was reimbursement to the firefighters for what they do. Currently, our training, we average about 100 hours of training per week cumulative, or 5,200 hours every year. And that doesn't include runs. So right now, we're sitting at 2,400 for 2017. Our current ISO rating is a 4X. If anybody would like to know what the X stands for, you can see me later. It's not a big deal. It just, they're not concerned. I'm trying to do this without my glasses, and I apologize. See, our website address is peewee-valleyfire.org, and you can get a lot of information on the fire department from that site. We try to keep it updated as often as possible. Board meetings are the third Monday of the month at station number 1 at 8607 Foley Avenue. We do post our minutes on the website. And I got one other question. I'm not sure if anybody else wanted to tangle with it, but I thought I would. It says, what can the court do to help provide better, better service for the fire district? And I got to thinking about that, and I think, and I don't know if it's lucky or cursed, but we get a lot of activity from both Magistrates Hounds and Logston. We see them quite a bit. And so they have a pretty good idea knowing what's going on up at the fire station. But I would urge the rest of the magistrates to maybe get involved a little bit with the fire departments, stop by training, see what they do, see what it all involves. I know you guys are busy already, I realize that. But if you could stop by and just visit with them and get to know the volunteers and see what they make up, it might be helpful in decisions you guys make in the future. He asked me not to ask for money, so I'm going to do that.
Does anyone have a question for Pee Wee Valley here, the chief or Mr. Burkhardt? I noticed that what you did submit here, and I believe you addressed it, but I wanted to hear it again. On the current budget, you said you had no carryover from the prior year.
No, excuse me.
Pardon?
I didn't mean to say that.
Well, I don't think you may not have said it, but it just has a zero on this line here that we have in front of us. So I think you said you.
Well, regardless of what might be staring at you on the sheet, we are putting 93,000 from the past year into our reserve fund. That brings it up to 607. Next year, we're projecting 69,000. That would bring it up to 683. So each and every year, we're bound and determined to make a contribution because that's what works in our 10-year projection throughout our financial planning exercise.
Right. You have to have the money to buy the engine, right? Or do you finance them all? You generally pay cash or finance on a new engine?
We'll usually lay out down payment of, what is it, about 20%?
Well, the target is 30%. Any more that we can put down is obviously going to impact the service charge. So we always target 30, and if we can get up to 50, with a smaller vehicle, we can do that, but the larger ones are a little more difficult.
Right, thank you, guys. Appreciate you coming here today. Appreciate the good work you do.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is Westport Fire Department, and I believe we have former Chief David Pendleton here.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I believe in your package you have a copy of our budget. We operate on $87,000 a year. Every penny of it is pretty much spoken for this year, especially with the upcoming expenses we have with the 800 megahertz radio system coming in, and that's going to impact us quite largely. That affects us a lot, but we're operating what we can. Right now, our tax revenue is 10% or 10 cents on the dollar for property taxes. We don't anticipate lowering it or raising it. We'd like to raise it, but obviously we can't. No major increases or in revenue about. There's no major construction going on or anything like that, unless some folks want to move to Westport. I guess folks just want to, they want to move and be 15 minutes away from Walmart. So we currently have 14 volunteers, no paid staff. My folks don't even take reimbursement. It's a full volunteer, and they know how tight our budget is, and they don't even ask for reimbursement for runs or trainings. Right now, we have training hours. I have on average about 9 folks that go to trainings every Wednesday night. We're doing something every Wednesday night in our department. Our average training hours is 3 hours a night, and about 50 weeks a year, which comes out to about 1,350 hours a year that my guys get trainings, and they enjoy it. I mean, we do a lot of training in our department, and we don't have that many runs. We average about 70 runs a year, and closely to 68% of those is backing EMS up because of the distance and the terrain. The time frame it takes for an ambulance to get to Westport is a little longer, only because of the distance, and you can't drive a box truck like that on 524 very quickly. So I've got 4 EMTs on the department, and anytime we call, I have all of our department respond to the station to where if we need manpower, long driveways, things like that, my guys are ready to roll on something from the station, which is fairly short. But we make the runs in our personal vehicles or our command cars to try to, start first aid as soon as we can. Current ISO rating, we went down from a 6 to a 4. We did do that with the increase of having our entire district on automatic backup with mutual aid departments, which is LaGrange and North Oldham. So that helped us with our rating. So any dispatch in our district for structural response has got 2 departments going on it. So we were able to access the available units from the other districts. It helps our ISO rating go down a little bit. We can get to a 3, but we don't have a backup pumper. We can only afford 1 pumper right now, so that might help us in the future if we ever get to that financial stability where we could do that. Of course, we do have a few places that are outside the 5-mile radius of our stations, so those areas are still 9s. We currently have a website up and running. It's westportfire.net. And we don't have our minutes on those. Unfortunately, we're limited with our technology, and we try our best to get our information out to folks with our website and our Facebook page. A lot of people follow. And again, this year, I'd still like to say thank you to Sheila. She knows our limited resources, and she's a wealth of knowledge of emailing me on things that I get a little behind on. So unfortunately, our chief couldn't make it today. He's crane operator for Nugent Sands, and his time frame of taking off from work is very limited, so you get to see me again. So.
All right. Well, thank you. That's Chief Jeff Pence, and David was the chief, and appreciate the service you provided then and today as well. And is there anybody has any question? Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you. From my position in the Oldham County Day Parade on Saturday, I noticed your equipment and your crew, and it's a sharp-looking bunch.
Great, thank you. They take pride in it. Like I said, they don't take reimbursements, but they still enjoy doing it. And everybody really likes it as a hobby more than anything, so they enjoy it.
Anyone else have any questions for Westport? We have opened up a building out down at Westport Park, Schambach Park at Westport, and you have provided that on weekends. We do have food service there now, so if anybody would like to come down and enjoy the park, the Westport Fire Department will have, what do you have, hot dogs?
Hot dogs, bratwurst, and cold drinks, ice. It's a Port of Westport Snack Shack is what we called it. So it supports our firemen's fund instead of taking money out of our budget, because it's getting so tight for shirts and things like that. It's flyers for deaths and things like that in our department. We're trying to supplement our firemen's fund with that income.
Right, well, we're happy to have you there.
I'd like to thank Fiscal Court for letting us try that.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next on our presentation and final fire department presentation today is North Oldham Fire Department. We have Chairman Randy Shearer and Chief Tim Conway.
Thank you. If you bring that up. I'm Randy Shear with the North Oldham Fire Department and Chief Tim Conway here. Just a couple highlights where we are and where we're going. A few years ago, about a year and a half ago, we switched from primarily or from a volunteer fire department to more professional firefighters. We have 4 professional firefighters, 24/7, 365 a year at the station. We were having just troubles getting our volunteers out in a timely fashion. So we switched, I guess it's been about a year and a half ago. We now also have what we call an on-demand program. So those, if we need calls from the remaining firefighters that are on our staff, they will come to events as needed, similar as a volunteer would. So that program is actually going very well. Our response times are good. We're getting trucks out in a much better fashion than we ever have in the past. So we're pretty excited about that. We do have a total of 48 firefighters on staff. Tim will go over some of the stats in a minute, but most of them are EMTs and highly qualified firefighters. Our run counts, we're about 500 runs every year, roughly about the same number. I think we're actually down a few this fiscal year, the last fiscal year, 16-17, but about 500. A couple key events of last year, we did sell our old firehouse. That was the building on 1793. That was a surplus building, pretty much vacant. Built a new firehouse across the street, and we were able to sell that property, and that money will be going to pay down debt associated with the fire department. We're pretty proud, too, of our community involvement. We are teaching CPR classes at the fire station. Those have gone over very well. On a monthly basis, we teach a CPR class. We also, our firehouse is used very extensively for local events. City of Goshen, for example, holds their monthly meetings for the City of Goshen there. We let that building be used for nonprofits, so we're trying to stay very involved in the community. Last 2 years, we have lowered the tax rate. We went from 10 cents 2 years ago. Last 2 years, we lowered it 5 cents a year down to 9 cents. We are going to keep it at 9 cents this year. If we look at 2017-18, what are we trying to do? Well, we also want to keep the good. We feel we've got good momentum. We want to keep that going. One of the big things here is our ISO rating. We are 4 for most of our district. You get in the rural areas, we're an 8. Last time we were tested was roughly
2012.
Okay, yeah, 5 years ago. So we are getting prepared. We'd like to get another ISO test to bring those numbers down lower. We are interviewing, possibly bringing in an operational consultant to make sure we can get those numbers down as low as we can go. Obviously, we've got some challenges in part of our district where there aren't fire hydrants and things along those lines, but we want to figure out, obviously that's the biggest bang for a buck we can do for our taxpayers is bring that ISO rating down. The other issue we have is our staffing of the Skylight Station. We currently just use that as a auxiliary station. We constantly run analysis on trying to figure out what's the best way to staff that station. The issue is the Skylight Station, 11% of our runs is the Skylight Station is closer than the Goshen Station. So we're trying to figure out the best staffing methodology to have the best service throughout all of the district. And so that's something that we probably bring up every 6 months on trying to figure out what's the best way to optimize our staffing on that with, what's the data as opposed to what's the gut feel of people. In terms of a budget, as I say, our tax rate is staying the same. We're feeling pretty good about our budget. We have a fair amount of cash on hand, about $1.1 million on hand. We figure we need about $600,000 to take us through November when we get our large check in there. So leaving about $600,000 for capital reserves. We have paid down over the last couple of years. We've been very aggressive at paying down our debt. The only debt that we have left are bonds on our fire station. Those range anywhere from 1% to 3% that go out to 2030. It's more difficult than you think to paying down a bond, but we will do our best to try and retire that. We feel we're in pretty good shape from a capital standpoint. Our 7-year capital look doesn't have what I'd call any extremely large purchases, trucks in the near future. We get to the edge of that 7-year plan before we have to start making, purchases of $800,000 trucks or things along those lines. So we're feeling pretty good, trying to get rid of all our debt so we can be ready to go when we need those capital expenditures. So in general, we're feeling pretty good about where we are and how things have come together over the last couple of years. So Tim, I want you to add a few things.
All right, I got some questions here that I can answer as well. So our average runs, we make about 500 runs a year. 60+% are medical runs. Unlike most of the other stations, we make every medical run that's in our district, and all of our guys, or at least all of our paid staff, are EMTs and/or paramedics, and we just provide a better service to the community that way, and it works out real well. A third of our volunteers, which we only have 10 right now, but they're 10 good ones, and we sort of capped it where we're going to be at as far as about 15 volunteers. And most of our volunteers actually just get an hourly rate, but there's incentive to become an EMT, and we got people jumping on board. We just had a guy graduate EMT school. It's super cool. One of our volunteers is also a paramedic. So we do have 4 people in the apparatus 24/7, and that's our first response. So you figure probably 93% of our runs are being able to be handled just by a one response company, and whether it's a car fire or something else, or significant event runs, which would be structure fire or automobile accident with rescue and some things like that. We're getting a second and sometimes a third truck out, and we're pretty excited about that. As far as training hours, just for the last 6 months, at the firehouse, we got 724 combined with everybody who works at fire departments on their off day. We're approaching 4,000 on that so far. We do have a website, www.nofd.org, and on our website, our minutes are posted, our budget is posted, the audit's posted, the burn ordinance, the address ordinance, anything that we can have to inform the public a little bit more on what's going on, it's on our webpage. And that's all I have.
All right, great. Does anyone have any questions here for Measure Likens?
Just want to say I'm extremely proud of you guys. I think you're the only taxing district that has come before this court and lowered their tax rate, and I think you just need accolades for that. The ISO stands for Insurance
Service Organization.
Service Organization, okay, and that is important for people's homeowners insurance rates. A lot of people probably don't know that. I don't know how many insurance companies out there that base your homeowner's insurance on your ISO rating. So it's very important that the lower it is. When I moved out to Goshen 49 years ago, our ISO was 10. So now it's down to 4. So it's helped dramatically with homeowners insurance rates. So thank you guys again.
Appreciate it. Actually, I expect our ISO the next time it gets evaluated, which, as Chief from Ballersville said, it's not a quick, easy thing. But when it does get evaluated, again, we are running a crew 24/7, and great mutual aid, and getting that second and third truck out. My expectation is it will go down.
Do you guys have any? I know you have a boat. Do you have many reasons to get it out or respond to river problems or?
We do. We make anywhere from 15 to 25 runs on the boat a year. And to be honest with you, most of them are dinosaur chases. You know, by the time we get out there, it's already gone, or you know, it never existed, or someone just needed a tow into the dock. And as far as an actual event, they're few and far between. We've had a few small boat fires and some things like that, but you know, Harrods Creek has a boat now, Westport has a boat, and there's always a boat there. Coast Guard, they respond fairly quickly too, but there's not a whole lot going on there.
Well, we also haven't had a flood like 97 in a
Correct.
while. So, I mean, we probably have in our districts, I don't know, I want to say 500 homes along the river would be my guess. Maybe that may be a little high, but if we run into a 97 flood type event, those are some useful apparatus to have. So.
Right, you obviously need the equipment on hand and hope you don't have to use it.
Yeah, so reality is we're probably more likely to have a flood than we are a tornado, although we had our F1 come through, which I think we did well with our response there. But so it's we constantly debate about the boat, what we should do with it. But
Any other questions? Thank you
All right,
very
thank you.
much for being here today. I'd like to have the clerk note that Magistrate Leslie was required to leave the meeting at 3:12. I want to thank our fire departments for their presentations today. It gives our community some oversight and some insight into how our fire service functions in the county. The next presentation or request for approval here today, we have the sheriff's tax settlement, and Chief Deputy Bob Noble is going to take the court through that.
Bob Noble, Chief Deputy, Oldham County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, I'd just like to present the 2016 Sheriff's Tax Settlement for the court's approval. All of you should have copies of that. If you have any questions, I can try to answer.
Okay. What I'd like to do, Bob, is just mention here that for those who don't know, is the Sheriff's Department collects all tax revenue in the county that is distributed among the various agencies that serve the community, fiscal court, school district, library, health department, and so forth. Last year, I believe your total collection was $70,360,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And the sheriff's office does receive a commission in relation to these for collecting these services, and that is what supports our sheriff's department. I believe that was like $2,600,000, it's in that neighborhood, and helps pay for the, we have what, 18 deputies, and is that correct now? Sheriff's
Yeah,
deputies?
18 full-time, counting
Full-time.
myself and the sheriff.
Right, and we also have bailiffs for the court system. The sheriff's department collects the taxes, protects the court system, transports prisoners, and of course, it also engages in law enforcement functions in the county police and the sheriff, and Pee Wee Valley and LaGrange Police all enforce our local laws. Does any of the magistrates have a commission or a question regarding the tax settlement? In other words, they bring to us once a year the final amount of money that was collected, all accounts being settled. Is there a motion to accept? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is a bid opening. We are attempting to put some new partition walls at the John Black Community Center, and I believe we have several bids to do that. And I know many of you came for the public hearing, and that we're slowly working our way toward that item. So I apologize for having to sit a long time, but this is how your county government works. The first bid is from OK Interiors of Cincinnati, $31,800. Second bid is from Open Spaces in Louisville, $37,300. Third bid, Schiller Hardware in Lexington, $45,000. And the final bid is U.S. Specialties from Louisville, $36,250. So we'll take these bids, and they are Park and Rec Department. Assuming, it's a little insight here, assuming all these bids are exactly for the same product, you'll notice about a $14,000 difference between the top and the bottom bid. So that's money our community is trying to save. Next item we're going to take a look at here is for a dump truck for the road department. We have several bids here. This truck is to come with a snowplow and spreader capabilities. This first bid is from Kentucky Truck Sales, $120,557. Peterbilt of Louisville, $965. Ewell Truck Sales of Kentuckiana, $124,859.74. Final bid, Worldwide Equipment, $131,928. All right, I'll give these to Wes Williams from the Road Department, and when do you anticipate the next meeting?
Next meeting,
All
Judge.
right. Road Department will look through those. Hearing those numbers gives you a sense of when you see a plow or with a truck with a plow on it next winter, you'll know about what the county pays for these things. They're expensive items. Yes, sir.
Is this, if memory serves it correct, is this the same, I guess Manager Greenwood would know, these are the same trucks we've been buying, it's going to have the aluminum bed, stainless steel?
Stainless steel bed, yes, salt bed. And
It'd be like the one we just bought.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on our agenda are the payables. We pay our bills every 2 weeks here. All our vendors are looking to get their checks, so if there's a motion to pay the bills, I'll accept that when you're ready.
So moved.
Second.
All the magistrates have had the bills for a couple of weeks. Do we have an extra one here?
There was one I had to add. It's to Rogers Group, $5,008.94.
All right, that's for Stone, for the community.
Yes, for the new detention center. Yeah, should be a copy in your,
There is.
Everybody's had most of these bills except this last one for several days to review. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. What's 4, 5, what do we have here? 7 to 1? Okay, 7 to 1. Next item is the final, we have some budget transfers, and Melissa Horn, the county treasurer, will ask for a recommendation on those or approval.
in cleaning up the books at the end of the year, we had a couple more line item transfers I need to request. In the general fund, $2,405. In the LG&A fund, $24,599.50, and in the police fund, $22,950.
Need a motion? I move we approve it.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion on those transfers? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Next item is the second reading of our refinancing of the 2009 general obligation bonds for the Oldham County Environmental Authority. Stan Clark is our Chief Financial Officer.
Yes. This ordinance is a refi, I'll read the title of it. This is ordinance KOC 17-220-414. It's an ordinance of the Fiscal Court of the County of Oldham County, providing for the issuance of the County of Oldham County, Kentucky General Obligation Refunding Bonds, Series 2017, also known as Oldham County Environmental Authority Project, in the principal amount not to exceed $3,750,000. And it's for the purpose of providing funds necessary to pay the cost of refunding certain outstanding obligations of the county, setting forth the terms and conditions upon which the 2017 bonds are to be issued and outstanding, ordering and providing for the levy of an annual tax to the extent necessary, and amounts sufficient to pay the interest on and principal of the 2017 bonds, and providing for the public sale of the 2017 bonds and the application of the proceeds thereof. What this is a refinancing. Several years ago, the sewer district built the Ohio River plant at a cost of close to a little over $8 million. At the time, bonds were issued for $7,333,000, if I remember, at about a 4% rate. Times have come that we are now far enough into the schedule that we can refi and call these bonds and refinance them. We have $3,750,000 outstanding debt on those bonds, and the refinancing will save us about a little over $18,000, about $18,300 per year for the next 11 years. So it's a couple $100,000 of interest savings. The sewer district has been able to make all payments of principals and interest on it. So this is mostly just paperwork and some reissuing bonds so we can lower the cost of this debt for the sewer district. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Clark? All right, this is a public hearing. This is the second reading of this ordinance, so this allows anyone here today who would like to speak for or in opposition of this refinancing to do so. Is there anybody who's come here to address this particular item on the agenda? Right, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, go on and see if there's a motion from Magistrate Tice, Finance Committee.
I'd be glad to approve, make the motion, we approve the ordinance KOC 17-220-414 for refinancing bonds for Oldham Sewer District.
Second.
I moved and seconded that we agree to adopt a new ordinance, 17-220-414, refinancing general obligation bonds for the Oldham County Environmental Authority. Is there any discussion of this issue? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Now, we have finally made it to the second reading of a zoning map amendment for the Pine Ridge Development Project. And so I'd like to ask Amy Alvey, from Planning and Zoning, to introduce the discussion. This also is a public hearing. There will be an opportunity for everyone who is here to speak in favor or in opposition to the proposed change, to be able to do so. And we'll have a certain amount of time for those in favor and those in opposition, and there will be, each side will be given a chance to address points made in the previous discussion by the other side. So we'll go all through that when we get to it here, but first of all, Amy Alvey will outline the request.
Sure will.
Yes, sir.
Before we get started, I must recuse myself from this hearing.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Amy Alvey with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Judge Vogel stated, this is an application that was filed by J.W. Hall III for approval of a zoning map amendment on approximately 5 acres. The property is located at 1824 Pine Ridge Road in LaGrange. The current zoning is R2 and the proposed zoning is C3 General Business District. And again, it is approximately 5 acres. Notification history. This case previously went before the Planning Commission, Oldham County Planning Commission. There was a neighborhood meeting held on May 15th of 2017. It did not require a technical review committee. Adjoining property owner notices were mailed for the Planning Commission meeting on May 4th. It appeared in the Oldham Era on May 4th, and the sign was posted for the the Planning Commission hearing on May 9th. The proceedings before you today, there was a public notice that appeared in the Oldham Era on June 29th. The sign was posted on the property for the fiscal court hearing on July the 4th, and the adjoining property owner notices were mailed July the 5th. Site history: on May 23rd of 2017, the Oldham County Planning Commission recommended approval to Oldham County Fiscal Court on a vote of 12-0 to rezone the 5 acres from R2 residential to C3 general business district. And on that same day, the Planning Commission approved a development plan on that 5 acres with the following binding elements. Number 1 was at any time the use of the property changes or is expanded, which causes an increase in the required parking or increase in the trip generation, the applicant will be required to submit a revised development plan to be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. Number 2, the applicant is required to submit a landscape plan for review and approval by staff. And finally, number 3, the preliminary plan must comply with all established federal, state, and county ordinances and requirements at the time of approval. This is an aerial view of the property. This is Pine Ridge Road here, Highway 53. So you can see it does have a single-family residential home located on the property. This is an area view. It just shows the hashed area is drives and parking, and the dark gray areas are structures. This just shows what the current zoning is surrounding the property. The subject property is in the hashed area there. The items located are highlighted in red as Zone C3. You do have some C1 across the street and adjoining with Cub Bank, and then there is some R4 residential where the Richwood Nursing Home is, and then that is surrounded by R2 residential, which is Cherrywood subdivision. This is the southwest view looking into the property from the end of the paved road by Cub Bank, looking into the Perkinson property. This is the north view looking out again from the end, the terminus of the pavement there, out towards 53. This is the north view again looking towards the rear of Cub Bank. This is the west view, this is the gravel driveway that you just saw, the west view. It abuts the Kroger there in LaGrange. This is the rear yard that is abuts Tractor Supply. And then this is the residential home that is currently located on the property. And then this is the southern view into, there is another 15 acres that is located to the south of this that is owned by the Westbrooks. This is looking into the heavily treated area that is owned by the Westbrooks. And again, this is just another view at the end of the gravel driveway looking back out towards Highway 53. This was a site plan that was submitted. We'll get into a little zoomed in version here in a few minutes, but it'll show the site is highlighted there in red. The green is the existing Pine Ridge Road, which is a 60-foot right-of-way, and then you have Highway 53 highlighted here in blue. This is a zoomed in version of the site plan that actually shows what is currently on the property and what they're proposing with the parking. The applicant is proposing to renovate the existing 2,169 square foot residence into a commercial space and currently showing the proposed use to be a printing and lithograph shop. So this again is another zoomed in version. This would be the street here, Pine Ridge Road. You have the existing structure there. That is the 2,169 square feet. Pavement along Pine Ridge Road will be extended from the adjoining bank property to just south of the parking area on the applicant's property at a width of 20 feet and will be constructed to county standards. The plan outlines 11 parking spaces for the proposed use, which meets current parking regulations. So the area highlighted here in gray, that is the proposed parking area, and you'll see they do have a sidewalk that goes out to Pine Ridge Road as well. The future land use map indicates the property as attached multifamily, which allows for office, neighborhood, commercial, local business, and community business. So this is our future land use map, which is part of our comprehensive plan. And you'll see it's highlighted here in red is the subject property, and that color indicates attached multifamily as anticipated use with the future land use map. At any time the use of the property changes or expanded, which causes an increase in the required parking or increased trip generation, the applicant will be required to submit a revised development plan to be reviewed and approved. And that will be up to whether to be at just the planning commission level, or if you want it all to come back to fiscal court. The plan was, development plan was approved by the planning commission, but that's your purview if you wish it for it to come back to fiscal court. The plan meets all other zoning regulations. Your findings for zoning map amendments, KRS 100-213, findings necessary for proposed zoning map amendments. Before any map amendment is granted, the planning commission or the legislative body or fiscal court must find that the map amendments is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan, or in the absence of such finding, that one or more of the following apply, and such findings shall be recorded in the minutes and records of the planning commission or legislative body or fiscal court. So you would have to find either that it is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan, or A or B, which is that the existing zoning classification given to the property is inappropriate and the proposed zoning classification is appropriate, or B, there have been major changes of economic, physical, or social nature within the area involved which were not anticipated in the adopted comprehensive plan and which have substantially altered the basic character of the area. So you have in your binders sample motions to approve or deny the request, which outlines those three requirements. And that is all that I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Elvey. That's the introduction by the staff, and are there any questions to Ms. Elvey by the magistrates? Magistrate Dye.
Yeah, could you go back to the planned use map? I just want to get a clarification
Yes,
on a
sir.
couple of things. Oh, right
The
there.
future land use map?
Yeah, that.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's see if my little thing here works. All right, you see where the driveway comes in, the existing drive,
Correct.
you got, keep going down.
Uh-huh.
Is that small partial there, that little narrow partial, is that dedicated for a road, or why is that split out?
That is not part of this piece of property here. That was, at the time that this development was done, it was in 3 tracks, and there was a 60-foot road right-of-way that was granted. The applicant's attorney is researching to see who actually owns that 60-foot piece of land.
Okay, then the one below it,
Here?
further, yes, is that the same situation?
No, that is actually in a deed. When the Westbrooks acquired the property, they acquired three tracks. 2 were the 5-acre tracks. I think it was 5 acres, something of that nature. And the 3rd track was that additional 60-foot right-of-way.
So at first glance, until I asked this question, to me, it would look like that whole narrow strip was all the way down as far as you can go. Looked like to me it would be someone with forward thinking saying, well, let's put a road in there, but that's not what it is.
It was originally drawn as a road for Pine Development, or I don't recall the name of it, but I have the original plat if you'd like to see that.
So that was a thought at the time.
Yes, it actually goes down, and there's actually like a cul-de-sac bulb and comes back out.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
now, with that being said, what is the zoning for all of this other stuff around this brownish color?
This brown color is
No, all along 53.
The red.
the red.
Well, it looks brown to me. Red,
Red, that
Yeah.
is commercial.
that's all commercial.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then this color here, which I would call brown, is institutional. So it'd be schools, hospitals, nursing homes, things of that nature.
Actually, that's gray. I'd like to correct you, that's gray.
Okay.
It's gray and brown.
Taupe.
So, okay.
Yes, sir.
The red was C what?
It's just, for future land use map, it is not divided out that way. It's just for general use, and which is commercial. The actual zoning,
I was talking about the zoning for Kroger and
the actual zoning for Kroger is C3 commercial, to the south here, we'll call it, where Tractor Supply property is C3 commercial. This is C1, and then this is C1. This is the nursing home property here, and that is zoned R4 residential. And then the adjoining in yellow, which is Cherrywood subdivision, is R2 residential.
And there's a driveway coming, I'll call it south of the property. It's called Priest Lane
Priest Drive,
Drive. That goes back, and we don't see the end of that. Is that a cul-de-sac back there?
It goes back, yes, it goes back here to the rear lot, which is located behind Tractor Supply.
And that
It's
is
not constructed, it's just drawn on the plan from what the original
and
commercial
that road
subdivision
goes back
plan.
into a cul-de-sac?
Yes,
And then that property around the cul-de-sac is all the same, the C3?
it's C3, yes.
One last question, to go back to the driveway that's coming in now, to okay, we're gonna come down to where the house is, and then we're gonna spin the driveway in there. And in the picture you had, some of the road was built.
Correct.
All right, from that point down to the existing home, is that part of the property that they're trying to determine who owns, or is it?
Oh, hold on, let me get there. So the existing drive is paved to about this point here. They are going to extend that pavement to this point, right there, at the end of their parking.
On that narrow, the green strip.
On the green strip, yes, sir.
We're together now.
Yes.
Well, I thought you said that, was this the piece that they weren't sure who owned it?
Well, Mr. Williamson is here, and he was actually the attorney at the time that all of this was divided and repurchased. He can probably further explain what his process is going to be
But
on the title of that property.
But at this juncture, they, if this is approved, they have, apparently someone has egress to through the.
Yes,
So they'll continue to have that same egress.
yes, because if not, this property would be landlocked.
Last question, I promise. Will that egress, since, let's say it's approved, or would that egress go all the way to the end then?
It would go all the way to the Westbrook property. It would go to right here, because this is already platted.
The plat we're talking about today is not platted for the roadway, or not deeded for the roadway. The Westbrook property is deeded for the roadway.
Yes, the original plat shows this as a 60-foot right-of-way. The question is that when it was purchased from the Perkinsons, the deed shows that it was purchased at 5.02 acres, which is just the
Red.
area outlined in red. But Mr. Williamson can explain to what was done historically regarding this piece.
Well, my next questions would be for Mr. Williamson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Once they get up and give their presentation, you can do that.
Let's wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Manager Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. Amy, back to the land use map.
Yes, sir.
I realize that the Richwood Nursing Home is a place where people reside.
Yes, sir.
But is it not considered a commercial venture also?
It is not. It is a permitted use. There's permitted uses and conditional uses, and a nursing home is actually a conditional use. I believe in the R4 district, I'd confirm that on there. But it would be that they would have to go before the Board of Adjustments and ask for that zoning. And at the time that the Richwood was done, we had tiered zoning. So anything that was allowed in a lower classification would be allowed in that zoning as well. That was approved prior to what we have now.
Okay.
Can you tell what is, and I think you said it, or I read it, what types of businesses can go in to the proposed zoning? Sorry, didn't have that.
So I'll zoom in a little bit so it's a little easier to read. So in C3, everything in this column is a permitted use. Other items that are conditional uses that if it was rezoned, would have to go to the Board of Adjustments for conditional use. So you have under, agricultural uses, farmer markets, riding academies. Under commercial, you have building materials, funeral homes, hotels, nursing homes, printing and lithograph shops, retail and personal service establishments with gross floor area of 100,000 square feet or less, vehicle repair of any, including service stations, vehicle sales, vehicle wash, vocational schools, and then you get down into more community-related things such as adult daycare centers, schools, nurseries. You can have restaurants, eating establishments of any kind, things of that nature. And that's why the Planning Commission, because they said the proposed use is printing and lithograph shop, right here, that if it was to go to any of these other uses where the parking would be increased for that particular use, or it would create more traffic counts based off that new business, they would have to go back to the Planning Commission for reapproval of their development plan. Not for rezoning, but just reapproval of their development plan.
That's a binding element.
Yes, it is. So anything, if it's used anything other than a lithograph shop or something that is similar in nature that does not increase traffic counts or parking, they can do that at right. But when they increase their parking or their trip generation based off of revised use and it increases, then it goes back to the Planning Commission. So if they were wanting to come in and put in something in retail that required 15 parking spaces and increase their traffic counts, they would have to go back to the Planning Commission for that because it's an increase in parking as well as trip generation.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you. I don't think we have any other questions. Now we're going to go on to the presentation by the applicant, correct? Or you look as though,
Switch it back, Sheila, sorry. Needy today.
now we're going to go on to the presentation by the applicant, Mr. Williamson. I believe I'd like to ask everyone who is here to speak in favor of this rezoning, please stand and this time. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. I do. Please be seated.
Okay. My name's Jim Williamson. I'm an attorney. I think everybody probably knows me. My office now is at 206 West Jefferson Street in LaGrange. I represent the applicant, J.W. Hall III, and also represent the property owner, Gary Perkison. Probably it would be a good idea for me just to give you a little bit of history for myself on this particular piece of property. I go back to 1976 when Norma Perkison bought the property, built a house, and lived there until her death in 2009. At that time, I represented Ms. Perkison in the purchase of the property. So if anybody would be familiar with what was there back in 1976, it would probably be me. She was out there by herself. There wasn't anything else. No Kroger, no Tractor Supply, no Cub Bank, no nothing, except Norma Perkison and her house. The property in question is on a subdivision plat. It's known as Lot Number 1 Shannon Acres. The property that Mr. and Ms. Westbrook own is also in the subdivision. It's known as 2 and 3 of Shannon Acres. When Mr. and Ms. Westbrook bought their property, they bought that portion of Pine Ridge Road that abuts their property. That's what Ms. Alvey was saying, was that their deed, it was in 3 tracks. Track 2, Track 3, and the roadway. So they actually own that portion of Pine Ridge Road that runs from Lot Number 1, the back corner of Lot Number 1 on back through the cul-de-sac. Might as well just talk a little bit about Pine Ridge Road and what's happened over the years. I also represented the Westbrooks. And I believe it was in 1993, Mr. Westbrook came to see me and we discussed access from Pine Ridge Road out to Highway 53. And we decided that it was in a state of flux. We weren't sure about the ingress and egress out to Highway 53. So what we did was we filed an action in the circuit court. And the long and the short of it was the circuit court adjudicated that the owners of Lot 1, the owners of Lot 2, and the owners of Lot 3 in Shannon Acres subdivision had the right of ingress and egress to Highway 53. So to answer your question as best I can, the owner of lot number 1 of Shannon Acres subdivision has a right to the use of Pine Ridge Road and can pass that right on to other parties. And I'm sure that the court is aware that, when the Cub Bank was built, that from Highway 53 to the front of lot number 1, the corner of lot number 1 was constructed, and I believe, I may be wrong about this, I'm not sure, but I think Oldham County maintains that portion of a roadway called Pine Ridge Road. Anyway, that's a little bit of history. After Ms. Alvey gets finished, there's not much else to say. She pretty well covered everything, really did. But I think if an attorney would say anything that's really important, is what the Planning and Zoning Commission did after their hearing, their findings that they made. And those findings are in accordance with the statute. And I think, if you look at the minutes, you'll see that the Planning and Zoning Commission found, as I stated when I started my dissertation before the Planning and Zoning Commission, that I'd known this property for a long time. I'd known about it. It's changed a whole lot in the last 40-some-odd years. The zoning of R2 is not appropriate anymore for this property. And that's one of the findings that can be made by the fiscal court today, but the present zoning is inappropriate. What the Planning and Zoning Commission found was there have been major changes of economic, physical, or of social nature within the area involved, that's our property, and the surrounding property that weren't really anticipated when the comprehensive plan was adopted. So a lot has transpired in the last 40 years. A lot of changes have occurred. This is not residential property anymore. It's surrounded by commercial property and a commercial enterprise, which is, the Richwood Nursing Home. The Planning and Zoning Commission also found that the major change in the area was the commercial zoning and the commercial establishments that have been established in the area around this property since the adoption of a comprehensive plan. We all know what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Kroger store. We're talking about Cub Bank. We're talking about Tractor Supply. We're talking about all the other commercial development that's occurred on Highway 53 in this area. So the Planning and Zoning Commission, finding those changes that occurred by a vote of 12-0, recommended that the fiscal court approve the change of zoning from R2 to C3. Also, the development plan was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was found to be in accordance with the regulations, as Ms. Alvey stated. And it was approved by a vote of 12-0. Of course, Ms. Alvey explained to you all a minute ago the binding elements that were adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission. If Mr. Hall changes the use of a property in such a manner as to need more parking or begin to generate more traffic, then he's going to have to come back to planning and zoning with a revised development plan and say, this is what I want to do. And the Planning and Zoning Commission's gonna have to consider the revised development plan and say yay or nay on the plan. So it's not a rubber stamp situation by any means. There's safeguards. Of course, another binding element was a landscape plan. I don't think it was mentioned that there's got to be at least a 50-foot buffer between the development and adjoining property, and that's on the plan. And any preliminary plan's got to comply with the law. I mean, we speak about federal law, we speak about state law, and we speak about county ordinances. But any plan that's going to be adopted is going to have to comply with all the plans. Presently, Mr. Hall has obtained a letter of intent from a party that wishes to put in a print and frame shop, lithograph shop on the property, which would comply for C3 zoning. Hopefully, this hadn't gone on so long that we're going to have a guy with cold feet or something like that. But Planning and Zoning asked us to request a residential use waiver in the event we don't have a commercial tenant. And if there's no commercial tenant, it'd be better to have somebody renting a house in a residential manner, which would not be allowed without a residential use waiver. And so Planning and Zoning granted the residential use waiver by a vote of 12 to nothing also. I would say this, I think that the plan, the request for rezoning was well received by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I think that their reasoning for the approval of a change of zoning and the approval of the development plan was based on the statute. And that's what we're talking about today, what's legal. And I think it was a legal change, a legal request for a change of zoning. Mr. Mel Melbourne's going to come up here in a minute. He's an engineer, surveyor. He's a fellow that put the plan together that's before you today. And he's going to introduce himself. He's going to tell you a little bit about his credentials. He's been an engineer and land surveyor for quite some time. He's quite qualified. I would ask, did I answer your question on the road? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hi.
Ask
my
you
name
to
is,
introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Melvin. I go by Melbourne. I live at 3907 Clark Point Court in Crestwood. I am a licensed professional land surveyor in the state of Kentucky and have been for several years. I'm also a licensed engineer in multiple states. I have a degree in engineering from the University of Louisville and a master's degree in engineering from the University of Louisville. I agree that without going through a whole bunch of these pictures here, they're pretty much what Amy's already put together there. She does such a terrific job, so I'm going to skip down a little bit, just make sure that everyone understands exactly what we're looking at as to where we are. This being I-71 across the top, Highway 53 and Zale Smith Road, with the Kroger Center right here in the middle, and our site is right next door, or just to the south. The blue area indicates where the site is, Cub Bank being to the northeast. It's important to recognize the surrounding property owners. To the northwest is the Kroger development and the Cherrywood Development Center. To the, I guess you would call it the northwest as well, and a property adjoiner. Walnut Commercial is a institutional development, a Richwood development. We have another large development to the southeast, which is also commercial, and of course Cub Bank to the northeast, which is zone commercial as well. The development, this is the overall development plan. What Mr. Williamson just mentioned, one of the items was a buffer. As this property is to the west or southwest is currently zoned R2, this area right here shown on the plan is actually a 50-foot a buffer area between the two properties, which is required. We're also adding a drainage easement. The drainage, we're not creating any drainage here for this easement, but there is a through drainage system. And so to preserve the through drainage system, we're going to place an easement around it so that no one can build in it. The development plan itself is very simple. The intent is to extend the road that currently ends right here and extend it to this point right here, which is just past the end of the proposed driveway into the site. The primary portion or the main portion of the actual development, the only thing that we're really changing on the site at all is the construction of this parking lot here, which is required, that 11 spaces required for the type of development that we're doing. The existing development, the upper one is the existing, and you'll notice that it already has a driveway that's going through there. That driveway is actually constructed of compacted DGA. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because we're actually constructing a concrete or hard surface parking lot, but it's going mostly over the top of the existing driveway. And for that reason, the changes that we're making to the property as far as drainage is very insignificant. And what I mean by that is that obviously the drainage that is changed by a development is caused by the change in impervious area. Well, the compacted DGA driveway is impervious, so the only change that we're making, excuse me, is the difference in size for the parking lot that's actually overlaying the existing driveway. Excuse me. Should have brought my water. The reason, one of the reasons that I bring this up is that the amount of the actual impervious area that's changing. The existing impervious area is about 4,506 square feet of total impervious area, and that is the house, the garage, and the existing driveway. As developed with this proposal down here, the total proposed impervious area is 7,321 square feet, a total of 7,321 square feet. The change in that is 0.06 or 600ths of an acre is what we're changing, the actual impervious area. So the impact to the excuse me, to the drainage is extremely insignificant. One more time, just for iteration, this is the red outline is the property. To the northwest, the property is zoned C3. To the southeast, the property is zoned C3. To the northeast, the property is zoned commercial C1, I believe. R4 for the Richwood development, institutional development. We still have a R2 development to the R2 property to the south, but I think it's important to note that with all of the developments around here, there are no residential properties that currently have an existing residential house that in any way touches this property whatsoever, and I think that's important to note. That's all I have. Open for questions if you have any.
Well, let's, don't have any questions. Now we'll have questions later if any of the fiscal court has any. Any other individuals who are going to speak on behalf of the applicant?
No, Judge, I don't think I have any questions.
All right. At this time, then I'll close the initial presentation. And now we're going to invite testimony from those who are opposed to the application. They had 50 minutes. They didn't use it, but we will allocate 50 minutes to the opponents if there are people who would like to speak in opposition. So can I first of all ask everyone who plans to speak to please stand. If you're going to speak in opposition, all right, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please be seated, and the first individual can come by. Ask each one who comes to the podium to please give us your name and address.
I'm Anna Kaiser. I live at 1002 Oakwood Court.
I'm going to ask, should have asked earlier with the applicants, we want everybody to kind of project a little bit. You might have to force yourself to speak a little more louder than you might normally, but it's important that everybody in the room can hear what you say.
Oh, face up. Oh, sorry. Oh. Thanks. Okay. Okay, I'm Anna Kaiser. My husband, Lee Kaiser, is the president of Cherrywood Homeowners Association, but he, at last minute, couldn't be here, so I'm here at his place to represent the homeowners who are a little concerned about the proposed lithograph printing company that supposedly is going to be put there along Pine Ridge, right adjacent to the nursing home. Also, Lee, after getting some calls from the homeowners, he did a little research, and if y'all want to pass these around, this is where he got some of his information. Y'all can look at it at your leisure. So some of the questions that the homeowners had that Lee wanted me to present to you all was, is there an EPA plan to protect the local environment? These up here are just some of the chemicals that are used in typical printing companies that we put on here. And also, was there a PET test done for the hazardous waste materials that would be generated? And the PET testing, I understand, is the potential to emit toxins. Also, we were wondering if anybody knows what kind of chemicals will be used at the printing company. And if you'll notice on some of these papers, I've circled VOCs, and we looked that up, and it says the VOCs are volatile organic compounds that react with nitrogen oxides in the presence of sunlight to form ozone, and that's a lung irritant. So we wanted to have some information about that from the proposed printing company owners. Also, we learned that inks are very hazardous. They contain metals and petroleum, and they are airborne. So in closing, it's just our wish to have these questions answered before proceeding. I hope the steps will be taken to keep people safe, whether it's from the groundwater or sewer problems with these chemicals or the air we breathe. And most of us moved to Oldham County for the great schools, the rural environment, the nice people, so on, clean air, and we hope that this will continue for future generations. Thank you.
My name is Adam Bear at 1100 Cherrywood Court, LaGrange. First of all, I'd hope that you all will take quick notice and really read through those papers she just gave you. I believe most lithograph and printing shops are EPA regulated. It is something that really needs to be looked at before you all agree on something like this and the developmental plan that is going to go into place. This will be affecting, and if you had the opportunity to drive through the subdivision, a subdivision of 280 homes. I have been an Oldham County resident for approximately 40 years. Like most of you, I have seen many changes and growth. My wife and I decided to build and live in Oldham County, like many others, for the schools, safe small town atmosphere, and the rural settings of our neighborhoods. I have neighbors that have moved here from all over the country. I've seen people from Texas, Washington, D.C., Washington State, Florida. They're moving into our neighborhood from everywhere for the same reasons. They've moved there for the same reasons I did. Many of my neighbors, myself included, chose Cherrywood subdivision for its proximity to Louisville and the reasons I already stated. By allowing commercial property to back up to residential homes, the look, feel, and appeal of our neighborhood will change forever. This isn't something that you can take back. As an Oldham County resident, I understand the need for commercial development, but at what cost? When is, the cost for developmental property too much? There are many areas in Oldham County for commercial development that won't have an impact on neighborhoods. There's Commerce Parkway, Oldham Reserve, all up and down 53, places closing down, commercial property available everywhere. The current plan develops less than 6% of the proposed area for rezoning. The residents of Cherrywood believe this tract of land, due to its elongated shape and the fact that it stretches into residential housing, it stretches all the way into the beginning of our subdivision, be looked at closely. We are not completely opposed to commercial development on this land. It's obviously part of it could be. We are opposed to the current developmental plan due to its lack of substance, environmental and safety issues. Is this development on sewers or septic? If on septic, will it be hooked up to sewers? And if yes, why is that not on the developmental plan? It's nowhere there. This developmental plan lacks substance. If not, how will the wastewater be treated before being emptied into the septic, as it will contain toxic chemicals from a lithograph and printing shop? If hooked up to sewers, we also would like to know if this water would be treated before it being emptied into our sewer system. How will the runoff from the development be treated, as it will also contain chemicals that could be harmful and run through the center of our subdivision? As they showed earlier, this drainage runs right through the center of our subdivision, through homes where children play. My understanding is this could be required by the EPA. It's a question I want to know the answer to. It would make more sense to locate commercial developments along major roadways, all along Highway 53. As you saw on there, most of the commercial developments were on Highway 53. They didn't jut way back. Much of this land is not connected to any other major development. If Pine Ridge Road is to be a commercial or high-density development, then it should be planned as a whole, not 6%. We believe an arrangement can be made with the developer and property owners of the surrounding subdivision that is agreeable with both parties and would be in the best interest for Oldham County and its residents. An agreement that would allow for commercial property where it would not affect the community where we live. We would like to see the land divided, part commercial towards the front, with a developmental plan, and part with a good developmental plan, something that shows substance, what's going to be there. Not something that may or may not be a lithograph shop because he don't know if the contract will come through. And keep the current zoning of R2 towards the back portion, which does touch up against the other R2 residential, where there is no developmental plan for that back section. We would also like to see this land annexed into the city of LaGrange. It is like a little island in the city, in the center of LaGrange, and it belongs in the city. I believe the applicants they actually applied for annexation once before. They used the same argument that this is like a little island. It does belong in the city. They applied for annexation into the city of LaGrange when they applied for rezoning once before. They applied for rezoning without any plan at all, and the city of LaGrange was intelligent enough to turn it down. This current developmental plan doesn't show much more. It's taking a house, going down and saying, I'm going to turn this small 1/4 of an acre into a commercial development, but I want 5.5 acres turned commercially. We want to see a huge developmental plan. Something that's going to show us what's really going to be there, not what might be there. We want to see the sewers. We want to know where they're going to run. We want to know the drainage issues. I understand all this has to come back up to planning and zoning if it is rezoned commercial. But by that point in time, the hardest part of the rezoning is done. He's already got his C3. These are dangerous chemicals you're working with in a lithograph shop. They're toxic. They go in the air. They will seep into the ground. There will be spills. It will run through a neighborhood. The drainage that they showed runs through the neighborhood. It is not 100% surrounded by commercial. There is R4 residential, which is the nursing facilities. I'm sure those people already have enough trouble breathing. I don't think they need that compounded. I hope y'all, if y'all have any questions, please ask me. I've done a little research on the EPA part, and I just hope you all really think this. I think with a little bit of time, we and the developers can come to an agreement. It doesn't need to all be developed at one time. It doesn't all need to be rezoned at one time. It could be split. And that's what we're asking for today. We're asking for some time. Thank you.
Ken Kraus, 2023 Cherrywood Drive. Judge, magistrates, thank you for the time and the opportunity for me to speak. I don't have any formal slides or anything else like that to show you, but I can tell you I'm a concerned citizen in the proximity to where I live. Those that are in favor of this talk about commercialization and the changes that have happened in the last 40 years. Not once did they mention in that area that the residential growth that's happened in that in those times. They pulled up the map and showed you commercial zoning. Not once did they mention the residential zoning that has happened and taken place and the growth that's happened in that place during that time. The current C3 property that's already there is underutilized. We've seen lots go vacant for how long now? We've seen other opportunities in the Oldham County area, even down in Crestwood behind CVS. They built a new strip mall, all empty. I drove by it today, not one renter in there. We still have the Ponderosa Steakhouse, empty. We still have the bank, empty. I know there's issues with that. The old brake shop, empty. There's commercial places all over the place, unused and empty. Do we want to build more place so we can have more empty places sticking around? For me, that's a concern. So yes, a lot has changed in 40 years, but with that commercial growth has been residential growth. It takes one and both at the same time in order for there to be that balance. I know personally about that imbalance. I'm from Seattle, Washington originally. I lived there 38 years. I watched my parents be driven further and further and further away from the city because of development after development of commercialized property. There's nowhere to live. I moved to Kentucky 12 years ago because I got to live out in the middle of nowhere and I loved every minute of it. And now we're talking about bringing in more and more and more. My last point is they talk very clearly about the water discharge being a small amount. If you look up 2023 Cherrywood Drive, my backyard is a retention basin. That retention basin currently does not work. That retention basin currently is eroding around it, exposing sewer lines and running waste debris downstream into another gentleman's yard across the way. So we talk about a minimal impact of this footprint. Any impact to a non-working system now is simply going to aggravate the problem and make it much, much worse. There are more things that need to be fixed before we allow someone else to come in here, tell a nice story when their real agenda, in my opinion, is to get this C3, then the door opens to allow them to do what they want to do. I thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Judge and Magistrates. My name is Gregory Britko from 2017 Cherrywood Drive. I am the gentleman that Ken was referring to as far as the runoff issues that we're having. I have a lot of concerns with a print shop going in. I do have knowledge of printing businesses from past, in my past. I'm really, really concerned about that, but also the runoff. We're told that there's going to be very, very minimal impact. That's not true. My parents bought this property in 2003, 14 years ago, and there's a creek that runs right through the back of their yard. Nice little bubbling brook until it rains. It started out at 2 feet wide, is now up to 10 feet wide. From what I understand, and Adam, you might be able to help me out on this one, I believe the county required Dominion to put in that catch basin, which is basically right behind my parents' property. Like Ken said, it does not work. Water diverts around it. What assurances do we have that if we do changes to a C3 commercial, and I understand they only want to use a certain portion, but like we said, once the floodgates are open, it's open. This is the hurdle. Did we not require Tractor Supply to put a catch basin in? I believe we did. This is when everything started. What assurances are we going to have that if this is changed into a C3 zoning change, that any other type of catch basin or water distribution flow is going to work? Because right now, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. And I wished we could get the city involved with the catch basin that we do have now. There's one on the other side of Cherrywood Drive that is a much larger one that does work somewhat, but it has to come through our property first. And ever since we've opened up the Tractor Supply throughout the last 14 years, it's a river now. It's not a little brook. Thank you very much for your time and for your consideration.
Good afternoon. My name's Johnny Roberts. I live at 1112 Cherrywood Court. I'm in agreement with the previous speakers on the opposition to the rezoning of this area for many reasons, mainly because I do live in Cherrywood. I think this is bad for residents that live in that area. I think that it is bad actually for the community. We add more traffic, more commercial traffic to the highways. And as said, there is quite a bit of property that is in the county that is vacant right now for such a project. And why would somebody want to have this rezoned for this application when they could buy property that they wouldn't have to worry about having rezoned? So I believe that there's more to it than this, that this is an opening for something else. This can go further, and I believe that if you are concerned about LaGrange, the county, the citizens, and the people that live in Cherrywood Court, or in Cherrywood itself, that you'll vote no on this rezoning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Hutchison. I live, 1019 Fruitwood Court, same development. I agree with all these guys. It just common sense to me. There's all the other land that's available, but when I was looking at the future use map that the young lady presented, it was nice, but it appeared deceptive because all along Tractor Supply there are our neighborhood. It backs right up against it. Tractor Supply is a normal kind of store to be out in that area, not a printing shop. And somebody else has expressed a concern. What happens to the other 13 acres back there? It's now landlocked. What's it gonna be? Commercial, R4, Section 8? You're gonna lose quite a bit of land value if that becomes apartments. And you guys are making the decisions. And I don't know, I would have expected our guy here to be representing us, but apparently he's not. And that concerns me too. So if we want representation, maybe we should ask Kevin what representation is. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge Vogel and magistrates. Thank you again for hearing our concerns. My name is Stacy Haney, and I live at 1104 Cherrywood Court. I have lived there for 9 years. Prior to that, my entire life has been as an Oldham County resident. I grew up in Centerfield on Highway 22, and my parents now reside in Buckner between Oldham County Middle School and Oldham County High School. And so in learning more about this possible zoning change, I just want to remind you of the motto of Oldham County, quietly amazing. And there are so many people just like you've heard today and that you know in this community who have come here because of the movement from Jefferson County out in this way to be in a less commercial area. And so as a mom, as a parent, I just implore you to really take a look at the evidence that is in front of you, because it is a concern from many people who unfortunately were unable to be here today. And I just want to know that our county government, again, is looking out for the residents of Cherrywood and the residential area around there. I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you.
I guess you can. Did you stand when I swore in the people?
I have not been sworn in. This was not the purpose of me coming today, but I'm glad that I stayed, and I would like to offer an opinion.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do. My name is Robert Stolworthy. I actually live in the apartments on Commerce Lane, that new development right there. So I don't live right next to the area that we're referring to for that parcel of land. I agree that the way that that parcel is currently being used is not the best and highest use of that piece of land. But I find myself very persuaded by all of the arguments in opposition to the current zoning proposal. I think there are much more sensible uses for that land that are more consistent with the residential character of the land right behind it. One that comes to mind, for example, is something akin to a dog park that could be run and administered by the Louisville Dog Run Association, and that might attract businesses related to pet owners, and that might help fill some of the vacancies that some of the other folks mentioned in terms of nearby businesses. I can't imagine a small, what appears to be residentially shaped lithograph operation being the better and higher use of that property, especially with some of the EPA-related concerns that some of the others mentioned. I don't know if there have been answers to those yet. Again, I did not come to this hearing prepared to research that, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to voice my support and opposition of the proposed rezoning.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Grummert. I live at 2310 Cherry Creek Road. I'm also a member of the board of the HOA of Cherrywood Development. And I just wanted to oppose this as well. If you've been to our development, you can see that we're new, and I have a little teeny tree in my front yard, and that's it. And it was required to put a tree in my yard when I moved there, and everyone else has little trees in their yard. But if you go to the backyard, that's where our big, beautiful trees are that change colors in the fall and is what makes our neighborhood beautiful, are those big, beautiful trees. Now that little section that comes in, that's where our trees are. And if you develop that area, it will take away the beauty of our neighborhood. I love trees, and that's part of Kentucky. It's part of the fall to see them change. It's part of the spring to see them blossom. But that area is just this little stretch, and it doesn't need to be developed. It doesn't need to be taken away from our homes and from our beauty of our neighborhood. Just like as was stated earlier, there's so much in LaGrange and in Oldham County that is not developed, that is not being used, that is already in place. There are empty buildings, there's empty lots, there's things that need to be torn down and replaced. All those things that are already there, they're already cement. There's already a parking lot there. Please don't take away our trees that we need for our home and for our families and for the beauty of our neighborhood. It's an area that just does not need to be developed. It could be a park. It could be, there's no parks on this side, that side of 71. We always have to cross over onto this side to go to any parks. It could be something beautiful for that area. It will take away from the beauty of our neighborhood, and I just wanted to make that a statement. That is something to be considered as well.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition here?
I want to apologize, I had this. This is a petition that I did walk through the subdivision with. I'll hand it in. I don't know if it matters to you all, but I walked the subdivision and I got signatures. I had over 50 signatures.
Mr. Bear submit this petition, or is it considered hearsay?
You can accept it for whatever weight you want to give it.
Okay. There are about 50 names on it. Every house that I went to was about 50. Most people weren't home, but all of them signed it but two. You can take my word for that, or, you don't have to. That's fine. Where did I turn it in at? Okay.
Clerk, please. Is there anyone else who would like to speak then on opposition? Okay.
My name is Alan Sawyer from 2018 Cherry Creek Road. I wanted to ask about why did he wait until the development was completely developed to start something like this?
Well, I'm
I'm
not
just,
giving any
I know
questions.
you
We're
can't,
just taking testimony here.
I'm just saying why, and why is this zone county in the middle of a city zoning?
Well, there's let's say, a line all around the city of LaGrange that you can reach a point where suddenly it's county and
Yeah,
no longer city,
but-
and different parts have developed at different times over the years as the city's expanded. As Mr. Williamson said, at one time, there was nothing out there at all. And so I can't give you the history of how property was
I'm just bringing up
annexed over the years, and sometimes maybe the city has not wanted to have it for whatever reason. When you annex property, they take responsibility for perhaps providing services there that they don't want to have to extend. So I really can't tell you why it's in the county, it just is.
But, I've been here about 10 years, and I come from Elizabethtown. And when they zoned it in an area, they zoned it all. And of course, that cuts the city taxes down on the people that pay city taxes instead of, just certain ones of them paying city taxes and not. I'm just stating my opinion,
Well, every city is developed differently, let's say, in a way. You can't really compare the development in Elizabethtown. I don't know what property you're talking about, don't know anything about Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
And can't answer all the questions about Oldham County, so.
all you can do is, bring up points, that's all
I
I'm doing.
understand what you're saying.
That's all I'm
Okay.
doing.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, you can come forward. Yeah, all right, work up. That's all right. We know it's a little scary coming up here. We understand that. You swear to tell the truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right. State your
My name is
next.
Linda Rosenquist. I live at 2421 Cherry Creek Road. My husband and I just moved here about a year ago. We moved to Cherrywood, around the block from my daughter, because it had a small, cozy feel. Sure, we had some commercial development, which made it convenient for an older couple. Now and I'm not going to say anything that you all don't know. We know this isn't going to stop with the lithograph. You're going to end up with a strip mall down through there. You're going to decrease our personal property taxes. And I talked to a lot of people in the neighborhood, and they feel that if this is going to be developed, we're going to sell. We'll stay in Oldham County, but we'll find someplace else. And we are voters. Just thought I'd throw that in there. But we did. We came because cozy neighborhood. We do have convenient shopping, but we're not so commercialized that it takes away the coziness of LaGrange. I get stopped for some reason, I'm always at the railroad tracks and get stuck. But that's part of the ambiance. And you put this out in, you're going to destroy that. Thank you.
Anyone else get enough courage that they want to speak? All right. Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment on in opposition here. And now we have an opportunity for questioning of the applicant by those who oppose the application. So did anyone have a question for Mr. Williamson or Mr. Hall. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Bayer. Yes, come back up.
I guess most of my questions would be EPA related. Has there been a PET test done, potential to emit toxins?
My name is Jay Hall. I'm the applicant. This property belongs to Mr. Perkinson, Mr. Gary Perkinson, who's sitting here in the audience. I have a contract to purchase the property from Mr. Perkinson, subject to us being able to get zoning approval. And to answer your question, sir, in regards to the EPA, I have not been asked that question until today. No one brought up any questions about chemicals or possible chemical runoffs in either the neighborhood meeting, which we held, that was attended by very few folks, and no one asked that question, as I recall, in the planning and zoning hearing. So I'm not the person that's going to be opening, hopefully, a small print shop and frame shop. That individual is someone who I've known for many, many years, who ran a print shop in the Louisville area and retired from that business, who grew up on a farm here in Oldham County during his youth, graduated from Oldham County High School, and is interested, has some interest in opening a small print shop and frame shop here in Oldham County if they can make it happen. Now, since I had never been asked that question before, I was not prepared to answer it. So I thought maybe the intelligent thing for me to do would be to text the gentleman, which is, if y'all saw me over there texting, that's what I was doing. I was contacting the fella that plans on opening this business if he can get everything worked out. And I'll just read you his response. My question was to him, about chemicals and hazardous chemicals with regards to a print shop. And if he plans to, because this is going to be a small operation, due to the nature and the size of the home that's there and the structure, it's got to be a small operation. His answer with me was, I believe we will farm out at a minimum 75% of the work. Printing inks are highly monitored with regards to disposal, and it should not be a concern. Now, this fellow's been in the business, so I got to believe he knows what he's doing. He ran a large shop in Louisville. But I also want to be very upfront with the court. I don't know that I'm going to pull this off with this gentleman, and he's going to open a print shop there. I do have a letter of intent from him. I hope that I can make it work, but if I can't make it work, eventually, and you're right, sir, I will be coming back to planning and zoning if I can't for something in the future, if it requires any more density as far as traffic count or any increase in the use of the property. So it won't be the last bite of the apple that planning and zoning will have. As far as splitting the property and saying that you're only going to zone part of it one way and you're going to zone the other part of it another way, that's totally unfair to Mr. Perkinson, and I can tell you I won't be buying the property if that happens. That will kill our deal. And trying to think of any other questions that were brought up here today that I would like to address, but if there are, please ask me. I want to address everyone's question.
We don't take questions from the back of the room. If you have a question, come to the front, please.
I've never been here.
Okay.
You guys are experts in this. We're the novices, and these guys slide everything under our noses.
Okay, and you're the, wait a minute.
I live at
Let's not make a
1019. No.
pejorative remark like we don't slide anything under people's noses here.
No, I'm not saying you.
I'm also going to defend Magistrate Eldridge.
Yeah, what does he do?
He didn't make it clear. He left the hearing because he's related to Mr. Perkinson, and who is potential seller of the property. That's
So he's
why he-
related to him?
Yes, he's
So
related.
then, do we have any representation?
Yes, the other people sitting here all represent you as well. We're all,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
not be
I'm not slighting
negative
him.
in some
Did
way
it-
about anything.
Hey, he
Let's just
disappeared.
Look at the case.
He
Okay.
disappeared. We didn't know about this until
Disappeared,
it
he abstained
happened.
from the hearing.
Okay, different, same thing. It's politics. But, yeah, it is.
You won't be negative, we're going to
Oh, no, I'm
not
saying,
to speak.
we didn't know, I never knew about any of these things he talked about. Any of these meetings. I would have attended because I know that he's a land developer. His goal is to make money. I applaud him.
What
It's
do you
just
do?
in the wrong place. I manage IT data. I make stuff safe for you guys.
Judge, is he gonna ask a question? or is he
Yeah,
gonna test-
that's where I go. That's where I'm going.
Okay, wait a minute,
What-
Mr. Hutchinson, I think
Same
that's your
thing.
name. Okay, let's just
So
ask
what
the
is your
question.
intent with the other property behind it? Do you want to get
What other
R4?
property?
Do you want R4 for the entire section? Or C, commercial in the front and R4 behind
Are you
it?
talking about the tracks
Two properties.
2 and 3, the other?
I don't
the
know
other
the
two,
tracks,
10
so-
roughly 10 other
Yes,
acres?
yeah.
I do not own that property.
Well, but you're a land developer, so do you want that property?
I don't own the property, I don't have a contract on the property, I have no control over that
No, I
property.
didn't ask that. Do you want the property? Want, not do you have a contract? Do you want that property to develop it?
I have no desire to, at this time, have any involvement with that property.
Down the road, do you have an intent?
I have none.
I think this line of questioning is inappropriate. It
Well,
has nothing to do with facts. It's
Well, no,
trying
it is-
to create a,
No, I'm not. I'm just asking
Mr.
questions.
Hutchinson, I'm not going to argue with you,
No.
please. Let's, you know,
I would just ask, you said we could ask questions, that's what I'm doing. So that's all I'm doing.
it's a prosecutorial sort of question. What are your future motives going to be?
Well,
We're
that's
only
what you asked
talking-
for.
We're only talking about the property that's owned by Mr. Perkinson that may be sold to Mr. Hall.
Okay.
We're
so
not talking about
the-
anybody else's
okay.
property
So we're
who's not
talking
here.
about the chemicals that will go into our area, is what we're talking about, right?
I'm not sure we're talking about that.
If
We're-
there
that-
is
That was
a-
an issue that was raised. Are there chemicals?
If there is a lithographic place, there is guaranteed to be chemicals that go into the wastewater. It's a proven
An
fact.
expert on that.
I can give you EPA documents on it. Would you like those? I'll dig them up and give them to you.
Are printing places regulated by EPA?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they have hazardous
Okay.
chemicals.
All right, all right, that's fine. That doesn't mean the person who is printing is going to not follow EPA rules or be under any
But
kind of
that's-
regulation. You're kind of implying that they can just do anything they
No,
want
no,
to.
no, no, no. I said there will be emissions. Will be, not.
Okay,
there-
let's
there-
not,
The
let's not,
EPA says there are.
Do you have any more questions for Mr. Hall?
No, but,
Thank you.
but the EPA says they are. So I'm just going off what the EPA says, not what I said. EPA, okay? Want to make sure you knew that.
I understand that. But, all right, is there anybody else who has a question for the applicant? Okay. Pardon me?
Be sworn in or not? I just have a question.
Okay, I'm not going to take any more people that didn't stand up when we ask you to stand.
I just have a question.
Okay, but I'll take you because, all right, ask your question,
I
ma'am.
just wondered, you have the person who wants to open the shop.
Can't hear the question, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. The person who wanted to open the shop, I just wondered why they didn't come today to answer any questions that we may have had. I was just curious as why they didn't show up since they were concerned and they really wanted to open the shop and the
Sure.
land and that. So I was just curious.
Well, the main reason is they can't open the shop unless we can get the zoning. And they would prefer to be anonymous, but I will tell you, they've owned the shop in Louisville for a number of years. They grew up in Oldham County. They would like to do something positive for the county and try to open a frame and print shop and move back here, but they can't do it unless the zoning's there. And
But you said they were retired. Are they?
they have
How old
retired.
are they? I mean,
They're about my age. I went to high school with him. To answer your question.
All right, are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, Stacy?
I had not planned to speak at all today, hence the summer teacher attire, so I apologize.
All right.
Sir, I just am curious if the person who wants to open this shop and bring business to his hometown, which I think is wonderful, as a public servant, I appreciate that. What about the plethora of vacant properties? Why could he not select something that's already out there that's sitting for lease or for rent or whatever? Why go through all of this when there are plenty of vacancies, openings in LaGrange and other parts of Oldham County? Thank you.
I just have one question. I don't know if anybody caught it, something that the gentleman said here, and maybe I'm incorrect. Did I not hear you correctly that he's going to be farming out 75% of the business? So what's the point? What's the point of having a business there?
Well, many people are, I'm not trying to, shouldn't get into this. Many people are, contacts for other businesses. I mean, they set up shop and the laundry you go to in LaGrange may send all its business to town. So why have a store out here? You know, I mean, it's a, well, any business, I thought though, these questions are.
Printing.
Well, he doesn't have to do all the printing there, does he?
It's also a frame shop.
Or something else.
And I assume he will be doing the framing there. And, I think the smaller print jobs he will do there, if it's any larger jobs, and this is me saying I think, because I want to be real clear, I don't know the printing business, don't claim to know the printing business. But I would assume that any larger jobs, he will be farming out.
Right, I mean, okay. All right, well, I think, once a person's had their chance to ask the question, we just keep, some thought triggers another thought. I think we're probably not getting that far here. I think we're airing this out pretty good. A lot of people are concerned about this, and I understand. I'm not trying, some of the questions that have been asked are all questions are legitimate, but when somebody says, why didn't the guy buy a different location? There's plenty in town. Well, that presumes that, I think Mr. Hall probably talked to his friends, say, I know a place you can set up a business if you come out here. And they struck a deal. I mean, why does anybody do business with anybody? If you go in, you could find somebody else to rent you something if they rented at the price you wanted and under the terms you wanted. And as far as people say, one lady was nice enough to say, don't take away our trees. Well, that's a problem we have in Oldham County. A lot of us have psychic ownership of things that aren't ours. And, they think, oh, I like that, but I guess if somebody else wants to come buy the property from Mr. Perkinson and let it sit there, go ahead. I mean, this is business in town. You can't control everybody. If you want to control it, put your money into it, and you own it, and let it sit there and make it a park. I mean, that would be okay. So anyway, we don't need to argue about certain things, but I think the points have been raised. They're good. As far as, is there any kind of environmental risk to this location? That's a reasonable point. The fact that why didn't you move your business somewhere else is not really fair to the hearing. So is anybody else, okay, come on back up. You want to try it again?
I apologize. You had recognized me to offer a comment before, but I have not yet offered a question. My question is, does the applicant, does the current owner of the property own the entire parcel that the applicant is seeking to rezone? And I think that may have been covered, and I might have missed the answer to that question. Yes. So the current owner that the applicant would purchase the property from owns that entire tract of land, not just that.
You have to answer all questions up the microphone, please.
I believe the answer to your question, or I believe your question is, does the current owner own the entire piece of property that we are seeking rezoning on? Is that inaccurate?
That's my question.
And the answer is yes.
And is the applicant proposing to purchase the entire plot that the applicant's also seeking to rezone?
And the answer to that would be yes.
Okay. Those are my only questions.
Okay, now why don't we go to we've had an opportunity to cross-examine the applicant, and would you like to give Mr. Williamson, any rebuttal statements to anything you've heard here so far? Or let me do this. Let me have would you like to sum up the opposition's point of view? Okay, sure. Why don't you come up and do that? All right, we'll have 5 minutes for this.
That's fine. It won't take long. I appreciate you all's time, and thank you all for listening to us. I do hope you all take account into the paperwork that we gave you with the EPA regulations. I understand their concern that we didn't bring that up earlier. I must say, I myself did not get invited to that meeting. So a lot of times this is I did not get invited to that meeting, and I don't live too far from the property. We ask Fiscal Court to deny the applicant's request for rezoning property at 1824 Pine Ridge Road at this time, due to environmental concerns, safety, and the lack of substance with the current developmental plan. There are many unanswered questions regarding toxic chemical use, VOCs released into the air, and toxic chemicals released into the sewers and the drainage. We, the residents of Cherrywood, believe we can come to an arrangement, and an arrangement can be agreed upon with the benefits that would benefit both parties. We're willing to work with him. We believe the agreement will, sorry, I apologize. I believe the agreement that we could come to would benefit all of Oldham County and everyone as a whole. We are not looking to stop all commercial development. And that was the next question. If it was 100% out of any chance of the land being divided, we aren't asking for a whole big. We are actually asking for, it's about 5.5 acres. 3.5 to 4 acres commercial. We're asking him to come all the way back to about where the nursing home begins. And then leaving the back portion, the portion that does touch the R4 and the portion that does come back into our, close to our neighborhood. Leave that last 2 acres approximately. I spoke to many residents in Cherrywood. I understand they believe it would be a burden for the landowner and a cost to him. Under certain conditions, we would be willing to pay those costs to have that land divided. We feel that strongly about it. We would pay the cost to divide the land. Mr. Hall could use his developmental plan and develop the first 3.5 acres. Since he has no developmental plan for that back portion, that is the portion we are asking for it to remain R2. Since he's not willing to negotiate on that, that's why we are asking you all to table this at this time until we have a chance to meet with him and possibly come to an agreement. I hope you all consider this. We are willing to work with him. We just need time. And we need him to work with us. It would be the benefit to everyone. We are a fairly new neighborhood. We are 280 homes. We plan on doing great things. We've just been released from Pulte Homes. I am the HOA board president. We do plan on doing great things in the community. We are talking now of purchasing land for a park because that's what we want to do for the community as our HOA. But we need your help. We can't do this by ourselves. We need the help from everyone. And we're asking his help to keep our neighborhood safe by coming to an agreement with us and coming to some kind of a line that gives him his commercial, but still doesn't impede on our subdivision. And that's all we're really asking for today, is for you to postpone this and, let us have a chance to talk. Thank you all very much for your time.
Mr. Williamson?
One thing that Mr. Hall and Mr. Melbourne wanted me to make sure I mentioned when I came back up here was none of this property that we're seeking to have rezoned touches one residential tract that is occupied at the present time. Not one tract. Now, we can only deal with property that's before us today. There was testimony about the Westbrook property, the 13 acres. We don't have anything to do with that. We can't control the drainage or anything else that happens on that property. Asked Mr. Hall if he was going to buy that property. I mean, we can only deal with what we got today. The tract is 5.02 acres. And that's what Planning and Zoning, your Planning and Zoning Commission did at their hearing. They dealt with the property in question. They recommended that the zoning be changed from R2 residential to C3. I think it's before you all, before the court right now, why they did that. The development plan was found to be in accordance with the regulations. It was approved. There's binding elements. You know, this is not a rubber stamp. Right now, if there's any substantial changes, the print shop doesn't come into existence. Mr. Hall has to change it. He needs more parking. There's going to be more traffic. He's going to have to go back to planning and zoning for a revised development plan. I really believe that the fiscal court should accept the recommendation of the Oldham County Planning and Zoning Commission and approve the zoning change and approve the development plan as submitted. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'm going to close the public comment, and we'll go to our magistrates to seek any questions or clarification they may have. So first of all, is there a motion on the floor?
Do we want to make a motion before we ask questions? I'd like to ask some questions
go
before we
ahead.
do a motion, since we're in a public hearing, if you're okay
Okay,
with that,
sure.
Judge. And I'll direct the question to Mr. Hall, well, actually, Mr. Milburn and Mr. Williamson. Is there sewer on this property right now? Got me.
There's sewers adjacent to the property. There's not sewers on it because it hasn't been developed yet.
Exactly, okay. Is this property in the city?
No,
Or the city be hearing it if it was?
that's correct.
Is the property adjacent to it where Tractor Supply, is that in the city?
Yes.
I had a question where I didn't understand all about the road. We've got a 60-foot easement going down there for a road, is that correct?
I believe it's 50 foot.
Okay, 50? And that's that little cutout, so it's a 50-foot?
That's correct.
All
What's
right.
there? It's Pine Ridge Road.
All right. Now, if this property is used, or as it's developed, who actually has the title to that property?
You mean the roadway?
The 50-foot. Don't care who we call it, who has title to that? Does Mr. Hall, or does the county, or who?
I think that the way what the court did was, the court didn't get tied down with who owned the property, because the parties that had ownership of the roadway were before the court. And
What court, sir?
I'm talking about the Oldham Circuit Court. It was a quiet title action for the roadway, filed in 1993.
And for a layman and not a lawyer, you got to tell me what that all means.
Okay, we were seeking an adjudication, a judgment from the Oldham Circuit Court that the owners of the 3 lots in Shannon Acres, Lot 1, which is our property today, Lots 2 and 3, which are owned by John and Mary Beth Westbrook, had ingress and egress. In other words, they had the right to use that roadway. And not only did they have the right to use that roadway, the court said their successors in title would have the right to use that roadway. So the Westbrooks and Mr. Perkison have the right to use that road. Oldham County took over a part of that road, if I'm not mistaken, when Cub Bank was built and the road was constructed in accordance with county standards. What we would like to have happen is that Mr. Hall's going to construct a roadway in accordance with county standards. It goes through the process with planning and zoning, recommended that the county take that portion of the roadway over too. I think the county can do that. That answers your question.
I guess I'm still
You still
not
wanna
sure
know
who
who
owns
owns
that
it?
property. In other words, if I go over to the courthouse and look it up for a deed, is it going to be under Mr. Perkinson's name?
No, I don't
Or
think-
is it going to be under Oldham County's name?
It's going to be under the original developer's name. I don't think there's going to be any record, really.
And who is the original developer?
His name was Brockett. The Brockett's, they're dead. They were in the legal action. They were parties to the legal action. They were joined in the action that I filed.
Well, I understand that the people that own lot 1, 2, and 3 have egress in and out of the property. I understand that. But when it comes time to put a road in from what I'm going to say at the rear of Cub Bank down to lot number 2, who's going to put that road in, and what standards is it going to be built, and who does that? And that's where my whole question comes
Okay, I
back.
understand.
Because we don't nail that down, then we've got a piece of land there that we may do a zoning on, but then everybody says, it's not my job to put the road in.
That road is going to be constructed by, if this property, the contract's consummated with Mr. Perkison, Mr. Hall, Mr. Hall is going to construct the roadway in accordance with county standards from where the back of Cub's property to where we said, to the back of the driveway, the present driveway.
And that's for right now, and it's going to be at county standards.
Yes.
Then, at some other point, then who puts the road in down to the end of your property? And that's what I guess needs to come to Mr. Hall, as you develop your property, if you buy the property, and as you develop it, got to have a road in there, and we've got to make sure that we've got somebody that's going to put that road in there if we rezone it.
I'll try to answer this as simple as I can, Wayne.
Okay.
My understanding is that the 3 lot owners have the use of that road, of that tract of land for their ingress and egress. And that was what the circuit court decided when Mr. Williamson went over there in 1990, whatever.
1993.
1993. And my intentions are to build the roadway to county standards for now to the driveway, or just past it. As the property develops in the future, I will either build it to county standards, or Mr. Westbrook and I together will build it to county standards to get it to his property line. That's basically the agreement that I have with Mr. Westbrook. And I can't honestly stand here and tell you, because I don't remember if I'm supposed to build it all the way to his property line or him and I together are supposed to build it. But it's one of the 2 ways. So it will get built, and it will get built to county standards.
Was that one of the stipulations that was placed on the zoning change by planning and zoning?
No, because planning and zoning at this point only was concerned about us getting the roadway built to the drive, or just past the drive, of the current proposal that you see. I want to confirm that, but I believe that's the answer I'm hearing. There wasn't any sense in building the road on down to Mr. Westbrook's at this time, because there's nothing going on down there.
Right, but in my position, I think you understand as far as the county, is that if we give the zoning, then at some point, there's going to be a road need to be built down to there as it's developed 5, 10, some odd years, and we've got to make sure we've got that nailed down today.
I can promise you this, the county will not be building it. The county will be asked to take it over if it is built, but the county will not be building it, I'm sure.
And I can live with that, but yes, okay.
Judge, can I try to answer this?
I'm
There's
out of
a
that,
there's a
that's all.
basic
Mr. Likens.
difference in a right-of-way and an easement. A right-of-way is owned by the county or the state, and that's what a road can be built on. It's a right of passage. An easement is for a specific purpose, such as gas and electric, water, sewer, or egress and ingress, and the property owner owns an easement but does not own a right-of-way. A right-of-way belongs to the county or the state.
Right.
So that's the difference here. So he will have to dedicate a right-of-way to the county in order for the county to take over that section of roadway.
So, and if I can go back from what he's saying, then this is our resident engineer. So if, go back to there, then actually, Mr. Hall is also buying the 50-foot.
Yes.
May I interrupt here?
Yes, sir.
Please do. Mr. Williamson,
Yes.
it's me.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question. Is this a subdivision originally?
Yes, it was.
And was the roadway dedicated to public use by the developer?
No, it wasn't. It's hard to believe, but the developer did not dedicate the roadway to public use.
Well, therein lies the problem, because if they had dedicated it to public use, the owner would no longer own it. So did the circuit court decide who owned it?
No, the circuit court didn't decide who owned it, but they did decide that the owners of the property had the right to the use of the road, and the county took over a portion of that same roadway. I mean, I'm talking about Highway 53 to Rebecca Cove.
Right.
It's maintained by the county, so it's been done in the past.
That's all. I mean, based on what
I understand.
you've told me, we don't know who owns the road.
Magistrate Dye, then
Yeah, I looked over my notes here, and I see where there's a lot of concern about these VOC, these volatile organic compounds. I'm in the plastic business. I understand exactly what those things are. And this print shop, frame shop, it's going to be a small outfit. And this is for Mr. Hall. Are you going to, Mr. Hall, if you want to step back up, please? You're going to, if you can get the zoning change, then you're going to hopefully consummate the deal with this guy. And you may or may not consummate the deal, but you'll have a piece of ground with a zoning change, right? And then you'll go a different direction, whatever direction that is. And you'll have, and if you change the traffic pattern or the other things you said, you'll have to go back in front of planning and zoning. Because right now, your deal is only good for this thing right here, print frame shop, correct?
It's for this or something that doesn't generate more traffic than the print shop.
Okay.
If it's something else that would qualify, you know, if I've got, you know, somebody wants to open up a barber shop and maybe a barber shop doesn't require but 10 parking spaces, then I could put a barber shop in.
Okay, but whatever it is, it can't have more parking or trip generation.
Exactly.
Okay, now, with all that being said, are you going to own the property for, until this person takes this print and frame shop? You're not going to get this changed over and do what he needs done and then sell him the property, or are you going to retain ownership?
I intend to own the property in my own name or in a LLC or a sub-S that me and my wife are majority owners in.
Okay, so you're planning on some point in time in the future, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm just thinking. You got a drainage easement that goes through there. Of course, you can't build on top of that. But you're going to develop the rest of the back of this green area here, right? That would be a logical next step?
At some point, yes, it would be a logical next step, and I would have to go back to planning and zoning when I do that.
All right. And then if you went to, and again, another logical next step would be the property that we refer to as the West Brook property. So you could tile this up together and put some other type of development, large, small, right?
I can tell you with 100% confidence.
I'm not putting your feet in the fire here, okay?
Well, I will tell you with 99 and 98 hundredths of a % confidence, I have no intentions to purchase or do anything with the Westbrook property. That's Mr. Westbrook's property, and that's gonna be up to him.
Okay, so with all of this being said, all we're looking at today is changing the zoning to put a print and a frame shop in here that may farm out all the big jobs. I want to go back, I don't need the attorney to stand back up again, but, I started to question about the roads. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think the county's involvement in the road should stop where it is right now. 'Cause I don't see the necessity, and I've already been down this road once. It's not to play on words there, okay? I don't think the county should, even though you're going to pay to put this road in eventually, when you develop the rest of this property, you're going to pay to put that road in, then you're going to turn over to us for us to maintain. And you're going to get all of the benefit of our road in front of your development. I'd rather you take care of your road in front of your development. So I think the county should stop where it's at. That's just my 2 cents for the court. Okay, so I got what I need to know. Thank you.
Magistrate Hounds is next, and then, all right, he defers. Go on.
I don't understand all this argument over the road. We're not even zoning the road. The road, if Mr. Hall buys this piece of property, he can't get to his property, that's his problem. We're changing the zoning of this piece of property, it has nothing to do with this road. So, and every road in this county, if it's built to county specs, we take it over or we don't. So we can decide that at the time. We're talking about zoning a piece of property. He could come off this Julian Place and run the road off that. It backs right up to it. So I don't understand why we're arguing over a road that's not even built. And if Mr. Williamson can't get this done or whatever, and Jay buys it, that's Jay's problem. We're trying to decide what we're going to zone this piece of property or not.
Magistrate Hounds.
Can I ask Scott Harris, our engineer, to come up and ask him questions? Sorry, Scott, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Scott Harris, he's our county engineer. I'm going to ask him to project.
Yes, sir. A comment was made that and I'm paraphrasing, that the current gravel would be considered a hard surface?
It's DGA, densely
Okay.
graded aggregate.
Right.
Yes.
It would be considered a hard surface. And
It
so
would.
the amount of hard surface today versus the hard surface tomorrow is not going to change by a large percentage.
I don't know how much
I
DGA
understand
is
that.
down there, and I don't know what percent is going to be parking lot, but whatever is currently in this DGA, compacted DGA, that has asphalt put over it, does not change the runoff coefficient.
Okay. And part of your role with the county is to prioritize and look at the stormwater issues
Yes.
that we have.
I am MS4 coordinator.
Okay, and it's also, for everybody's understanding, and I could be, correct me if I'm wrong, you are already aware of these issues that these folks have brought up?
Yes, I am.
Because even though they're in the city of LaGrange, we're taking care of their stormwater.
They are part of the county.
Okay.
Water travels through
Right,
things.
yeah, it doesn't
Yes.
just, it goes wherever it wants. So the issues that they're talking about and the issues of this piece of property, they may or may not, I mean, without having to put dye, we don't know that the water starting at 53 is making it into Cherrywood subdivision.
We're pretty sure that in a good rain it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Would there be any reason with that easement that Magistrate Dye was talking about, would there be any change in there that we could make to help those folks in Cherrywood? I know that may be far-fetched.
It is a natural drainage easement.
Okay.
It is a ditch, a detention basin drains, and it flows through there.
Okay.
We have an ordinance since last summer, post-construction stormwater or runoff ordinance, that says that all drainage will be in easements and will be accessible by us if we need to maintain or clean them. So they're actually doing their due diligence and doing what they should do by giving us access to this location.
Okay. Okay, that's all the questions I have for you.
Anybody else?
My next question would be for the applicant. Mr. Hall, if sewers presented themselves to the property, to your development, would you hook on for this? Because we've gone back and forth. We've talked about the septic system, which I'm very familiar with. Septic systems live on 1.5 for a long time. But if sewers presented itself to this property and you were to purchase this property and put that proposed business on there, would you be inclined to connect to the sewer system?
I'm sorry, I did not understand the very last thing you said.
Would you be inclined to connect to the sewer system if they were presented to you because it would make sense, I would think, and I'm not an environmental engineer, to have our sewage treatment plant take care of the wastewater, would do a better job than the ground and on the property to take care.
Well, to answer your question, this property is currently in the LaGrange Sewer District.
Right.
Okay? So it has sewers available to it right now.
Okay.
It's not in the city of LaGrange, but it does not, and I want to stress this, it does not have to be in the city of LaGrange to have access to the LaGrange Sewer District. And that question came up in planning and zoning, and Mr. Ted Chisholm answered that question at that time, that they will take this property without it being in the city of LaGrange into the LaGrange Sewer District, and they have to do that. I believe they charge a little higher rate because you're not city residents, but they have to do that. If I can get my frame and print shop deal to work out, and the individual wants to be on the sewers, then I have no problem putting it on sewers. You know, I will have that discussion with the individual that's given me the letter of intent. I can't really speak for him today because I've never had this question come up until today. But I have no objection whatsoever, and I do see in the future this property definitely being on sewers because it sits right next to the lift station. The backyard of this property will gravity flow into the lift station. I want to check with my engineer before I said that. But it's going to be on sewers. Now, whether it's going to be on sewers in the next year or in 5 years, I can tell you with confidence, this property, if it has any commercial activity at all going on it, it's going to be on sewers.
Ready for a motion?
Measure Likens.
I've just got a quick question for Ms. Alvey. Is a print shop an allowable use on C3 general business?
Yes, it is listed as a permitted use in C3.
Okay. And one of the applicants said something about taking away trees. Am I correct on the map that this piece of property doesn't touch any part of Cherrywood subdivision?
I'll pull the map up for you. This is the property in question outlined in red. This is the nursing home. This is the first residential property of Cherrywood. This lot here. So this is where Cherrywood starts.
And I'm trying to remember also, did you say there was a 60-foot easement or a 50-foot?
There's a 50-foot, let me get to it. There's a 50-foot landscape buffer that is required here. So there is a landscape buffer between C3, commercial zoning and residential zoning. We have in our landscape requirements.
Which essentially says that trees there will stay there.
Well, it doesn't mean that the trees will be there, but they have to have, there's opacity requirements that they will have to meet with their landscape plan that they have to submit to staff.
And my last question is for Melbourne. You said that the change in impervious area, and I agree that Scott did give it, DGA-isms is considered impervious area, the same as asphalt, with about a 90% runoff. But you said the change in impervious area was extremely insignificant. But how much is that? How much is extremely
The change is
insignificant?
0.06 of an acre. The actual runoff is 0.31 cubic feet per second.
Okay. So, but we do have a slight increase in impervious area
Yes,
if we
there is.
pave the road. And I did notice that the applicant said that he was putting in a 20-foot wide road, and I think 24-foot wide road would be required
think it's
in
20
order for the county to take that
I
road.
believe it's 20 foot of pavement, and then there's 4 foot of gutters. That's the 24 foot.
I think that answers. Thank you.
Commissioner Tice?
I'm going to make a motion or stab to make a motion. Ordinance number 17-920-412. I would move that we accept the findings of the Planning and Zoning, Planning PZ 17-018, for the reasons they've said. In addition to me, it's a classical infill development of C3 property already with C3 on both sides, not abutting to any residential property. The only thing that I'd like to add to the binding elements, if we could, would be that the 50-foot road easement be the responsibility of the developer, which he said he already would, as we go forward with the zoning change.
All right. Is there a second on that?
I'll second, Judge.
Second, all right.
Pardon?
Clarification, the actual width of the easement is 59, it varies, but it's approximately 59 feet, not 50 feet. for
I'm sorry, I
clarification.
thought somebody told me 50 earlier, then whatever the appropriate, I will put that in. Sorry.
I'm not sure what you mean by responsibility, Mr. Tice.
It just, you want him to agree to the binding elements that planning and zoning held him to.
Planning and zoning did not ask him to guarantee the road to be extended down there. And since there's question about the title of who owns that right-of-way, easement, who owns that easement, then in that, Mr. Hall said that he would guarantee that the road would be built in adequate, and as it's developed, then of course, that's what you said.
I understand your question, or your point now.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, because if something happens going forward without that binding element, something happens to you, then now we've got an issue with somebody else. And at this point, I've locked up all concerns of the property of that easement and the road being placed in that easement adjacent to your property.
I just want to make it clear, I intend to build the road to county standards, and my hope is to ask the county or the city, if the property's brought into the city, to take it over, and, they can decide if they want to or not at that time, but my intentions are to build it to county standards.
Thank you.
All right, we've had a motion to approve the change, and that motion has been seconded. All right. Would you like to, again, repeat your reasons that you support the change? Can you do that? Because it meets the goals of the comprehensive plan, or?
No, my main reason, I agreed with the planning and zoning, but my main reason has been since the time that property was established with an R2 zoning, that there's been substantial changes around it, which I think is number B, or it's B, I think, and it wasn't a,
C.
Thank you. It's C, that there've been enough major changes of economic, physical, and social nature in the area involved, which was not anticipated when the comprehensive plan went into effect and zoned that property R2. So with those changes, logical C3 zoning goes along with that. Does that make sense at this point?
That's an adequate motion. We can rely on the findings of planning and zoning in approving the ordinance.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus,
And,
the social and economic, to me, that's the key thing right there, is the substantial changes since 1976. And then the other thing is, for the people that are here, is that when you hopscotch around in the county, if you have a small piece, I'm not talking about a piece that sticks back into your subdivision, protrudes into it, but when you've got a piece that lies between C3 zoning, it would only make sense for us to complete that zoning through there and not subject, because of all the changes, that's logically C3. And if I can go one step farther, because I've already made that if you all as a neighborhood, then if you're concerned about lot 2 and 3, you need to address that as buying that for a park. You all have enough property. If you got a good homeowners association, you got enough lots, you ought to have enough money, you could go in there and maybe buy those others. Because anybody that owns it's going to want to sell it for a profit unless they're going to do something with it. That would be an opportunity, because that part, if it comes back up to us, we're going to look at again. Excuse me. I'm rattling now. Apologize.
All right. I think it's, important that you be clear about what your resolution is.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any further discussion here? All right. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Magistrate Hounds,
Yes.
Magistrate Greenwell,
Yes.
Magistrate Likens,
Yes.
Magistrate Logsdon,
Yes.
Magistrate Dye.
Yes, I have a comment. For the people in the subdivision, I've taken notes of everything you said, and I think that what you can do with the other piece of the West whatever his property is something you may want to look at. But as far as the organic VOCs, that kind of industry, his shop's going to be regulated by what he can and cannot do with the chemicals. That's a late at the gate kind of situation. And I know that you all are concerned about what happens next to your subdivision. The trees are not going to go away. There's going to be something done with that property eventually. You've engaged yourself, which I'm proud of that you did. But I'm going to have to vote for this because it does meet the standard by the county, by what the plan and zoning says. We're doing exactly what the rules are laid out to us, our governing documents. And you may not like what Mr. Hall may or may not be doing today, but I know some of the work that he's done, and he's always been a man of his word, and I believe he will work with you guys and mitigate some of your fears. And no matter if it is a frame or a shop in the VOCs and all that. So I don't think this is the end of the world, but we're doing here today exactly what we're supposed to do. So I'm going to vote yes.
All right, I'll vote yes as well.
Magistrate Tice,
Yes.
All right. You can see this passed 7-0. All of us, I can speak for all of us. None of us sit here wanting to disappoint the people who've come and raised these objections. But it's just logical to let the little piece be developed commercially. If you don't like the thing that goes in there, if there are any environmental issues, you're certainly able to raise a complaint with the EPA or Division of Water in the state of Kentucky. I don't think there will be. I mean, I've lived here 45 years. We've had numerous circumstances that people felt were something inappropriate, something dangerous, something was going to happen. And as time went on, nothing happened. I mean, everything worked out. And it just wasn't the risk that was perceived in the beginning. We're here as the county government to try to protect people against risks, but we have to balance out property rights versus objections. And I think Magistrate Tice had a great idea. Mr. Bayer, get a hold of Mr. Westbrook and that second and third piece back there. If that is a place for a park. If you don't want anything else like this to happen in that neighborhood, then the people in the neighborhood have to take responsibility and not try to force someone else to see it your way. You have, pardon?
I said, help us purchase one right there.
Okay, well, yeah, you're in the city of LaGrange, correct?
Yeah, but that lands in Oldham County, that land's
Okay.
not in the city.
All right, well, we're certainly happy to facilitate an arrangement, a meeting with Mr. Westbrook or try to do anything. I think it's great, because we love another park area in the area. But my point being, and it's not, I'm not trying to be unpleasant in any way, is that people come and say, I want this to happen to this other guy's property. Well, you have to take, if you want something to happen to a piece of property, then you all have to step up and be the people to get control of that property, and then it can be managed the way you want it to be. So I think Manager Tice had an excellent idea. I'm not trying to pass the buck, but you did raise the idea of having a park over in your neighborhood. There's still space left for it, and it'll prevent this issue from coming up again, because people who own property all are looking for the highest value for it. We all know that on our homes. You all want to protect your homes. I personally don't think a print shop is going to endanger or reduce the value of any house in Cherrywood. I just have a hard time accepting it will. So I hope you feel that you've been treated fairly here today. We've had one Mr. Hutchinson felt like he wasn't, but Magistrate Eldridge should have said that he was leaving the meeting because he is related to a party involved in this transaction. And he didn't, he should have said that, but he didn't, and he didn't try to go hide and not represent his district. So apologize if I was rough on you there for a second. I didn't mean to be, so.
Can we have a 5-minute break?
Yes, I think we're ready to take, we've got some more things on the agenda, but let's all be back at maybe 25 to 6.